And the Nationals had the best record in the majors. Now, with just a few days left before the start of the regular season, they have their sights set on a repeat performance. Today, they host the Young Mets, a team loaded with youth and promise. It's New York and Washington in one of the final spring training tune-ups. Coming up next from Viera, Florida. From Viera, Florida, we welcome you to Major League Baseball Spring Training on ESPN, presented by Head & Shoulders. And from the home of the defending NL East champion Washington Nationals, it's the Nats and the New York Mets in their final days of the Grapefruit League. Expectations are absolutely sky high for the Washington Nationals of Steven Strasburg and Bryce Harper. They're going to see plenty of the Mets in division play, but no opponent wants to see that great national pitching staff. A pleasure to be with you on a beautiful day here in Florida. I'm Dave O'Brien. My partner is the Cy Young winner, Rick Sutcliffe, and Aaron Boone. And Suddy, without question, this team has sky-high expectations. It's generated by the pitching staff. Washington with Strasburg is the #1 guy, electrifying stuff. But the #2 guy is Gio Gonzalez. He won 21 games last year.
It's unbelievable. That led the majors with 21 victories, and yet he's not their opening day pitcher. It does tell you a lot about the Washington Nationals. But what separates Gio Gonzalez is his curveball. Dave, there are a lot of people that have a good curveball. There's others that have a good feel for pitching with the curveball, but there are very few in the game of baseball that have both. That's what separates him. And I love what pitching coach Steve McCatty told us before the game. He said, if he were to throw the curveball and it were to hit you in the leg, there's so much rotation on it, not only would it hurt, but it would probably cut your skin.
He is outstanding as the #2 guy. Aaron, let's talk about that defensive infield, because these are the guys that support this great pitching staff. And Davey Johnson said it might be the best he has ever seen, and he's 70 years old. Zimmerman at third base. Is he finally healthy? Last year he was not.
Dave, he is finally healthy. And last year, Ryan Zimmerman hit 25 home runs, drove in 95 runs with a bad right shoulder. That offensive production should go up this year, but where we should see the biggest improvement is throwing the ball across the diamond. A ton of throwing errors last year. That problem should be rectified. He should return to the form that made him a perennial Gold Glove candidate.
All right, let's find out just how good he feels. Ryan Zimmerman joined by our Tim Kirkshin on the diamond. Tim?
Ryan, how's your shoulder doing?
Shoulder has come along great. You know, last year obviously had some problems with it. Got a little tune-up in the off season, and rehab's gone great. It gets stronger and stronger each day, and it's just a relief that I really don't have to mess with that anymore.
What are the expectations heading north tonight, knowing you're going north with a really good team?
It's exciting and a lot different than years past, but you know, it makes those frustrating years a little bit sweeter now with worth the wait. And I think we're all excited to go back and kind of prove that last year wasn't a fluke, and we're here to stay for a long time.
Well, now that you're throwing really well, you get to throw it to the commercial break. Here we go.
We'll be right back after this with the New York Mets at the Washington Nationals from beautiful Viera, Florida.
Thank you, Ryan. He said it way better than I could, and he can hit. Way to go. Thanks.
Gorgeous day here in Viera, and this telecast of Major League Baseball spring training on ESPN is presented by Head & Shoulders for Men. Live flake-free. And in part by Pennzoil, at the forefront of oil technology, because we love cars and the memories made in them. Our matchup today, the Washington Nationals and the New York Mets, division rivals. Washington a heavy favorite to repeat. We come to you from Space Coast Stadium. Rick Sutcliffe, Aaron Boone, Dave O'Brien, and Tim Kirkchen. And right now, let's toss it down to Tim with Mets manager Terry Collins in today's Mets lineup.
Terry, let's take a look at your lineup. The key guy is Daniel Murphy. How is he doing?
Well, he's been doing fine. This is a big game for him today for us. To get him back with the speed at the major league level. He's physically doing well, but tough assignment. Your first game of spring training facing Gio. So, but I know Dan. Knowing his work ethic, he'll be ready.
Lucas Duda, what do you need from him this year?
Well, we need production. That's what he's in the lineup for. He's got great power. He's got as much power as anybody in the league. And if he drives and runs, it's going to change the dynamic of our lineup. David Wright is not here, but how is he doing? Well, he's doing good. Hopefully he's going to be able to play tomorrow and play 5 innings tomorrow and again on Saturday. So, even though we're close to opening day, he's got a lot of at-bats with the WBC team. So I think we're going to get David ready on time. Terry, thank you. Dave, back to you.
All right, Tim, thank you very much. Gio Gonzalez on the hill, the 27-year-old from Hialeah, Florida. The numbers from last year, 21-8, a 2.89 ERA.
You know what? And if you were looking for a statistic to rate who has the best stuff in all of baseball, one would have to be opponent's batting average. This is another category in which Gio Gonzalez led the major leagues. They barely hit over 200 collectively.
Well, he'll tee off here against Colin Cowgill, the left fielder for the Mets, then Murphy, and then Duda. And the lefty's first offering of the day is in there for a strike, says Paul Nart, and we are underway, 67 degrees under a cloudless blue sky. Just gorgeous. And quickly 0-2 on Cowgill with 269 last season. Acquired from the Oakland A's in December. The Mets are his third organization in 3 years. And the 0-2. Well, that was quick. Gio Gonzalez, who's going to be on a 70-pitch limit today, puts away the leadoff man on 3.
And he did not make any adjustment from the very first pitch. All two-seam fastballs away. After getting 2 strikes, he says, I'll see if I can't get him to expand that zone a little bit. And as you said, it doesn't get much easier than that.
Gio looks ready.
He looked ready in that World Baseball Classic, too. Back for Team USA when he had 5 shutout innings against Puerto Rico.
Well, here's Daniel Murphy, broken bad looper, and a base hit into right field, and Met fans have to love the sight of that. He was injured. He injured his intercostal early in the spring, and he's been out a long stretch, finally returning, Aaron, here at the end of spring training.
Look, this Met team is going to be challenged offensively this year to score runs. That's why Daniel Murphy, a proven hitter at the big league level, is so important to be ready early with this team. A good sign to get in there. First pitch he sees, drives it to right field.
Well, you heard Terry Collins talking with Tim Kirkchen about hope and hoping he'll be ready and that David Wright will be ready. They both had the same injury.
Yeah, I talked to Daniel before the game, and physically he said he feels great. He played in 3 minor league games, getting a lot of at-bats earlier in the week. He feels good about where he's at heading into the season.
Lucas Duda takes a ball low, 239, 15 home runs last year for the Mets, one of their few power threats.
Yeah, and Dave, Terry Collins touched on it. I think Lucas Duda perhaps is the key to this entire thing for the Mets and their offense. If he can prove to be a legitimate corner outfielder from an offensive production standpoint, then this team can remain competitive. But what I mean by that, he needs to be able to be a legitimate middle of the order behind Wright, behind Ike Davis in this lineup. And that may mean 25 homers, 25 plus homers. If that's the case, then this team has a chance to be decent.
That's in there for a strike from Gonzalez, who features good zip on the fastball, that knee buckling curve that Rick talked about, the changeup, a workhorse. He threw just shy of 200 innings last year.
And the big thing about that curve, it's not only an outstanding pitch as far as the stuff, but he knows how to locate it.
High fly, dead away center, pretty well hit, but Span is back there in the back pedal. And one of the new acquisitions for Washington Makes the grab. Runner trying to move up. Murphy in a second. He's going to get there. The helmet goes flying, but good aggressive base running there by Daniel Murphy.
It is outstanding aggressively, but I don't know how smart it is. I mean, you got a guy that just got back into the lineup with a strained, basically rib cage, and now he's going to tag up here in a spring training game, opening day less than a week away. And Aaron, he's going to dive head first on those ribs. I'm not sure about that.
Rick, probably not the brightest thing, but Daniel Murphy is the way he is a big leaguer, is the quality of player he is because of that kind of thing. That's the kind of determination he's played with throughout his minor league career that's made him a big leaguer. And now he's saying, I'm healthy, I need to let it go.
I'll take that on April 1st at Citi Field against San Diego. I don't need that right now.
Now that'll bring up the right fielder Mike Baxter, 263, 3 home runs in limited duty for the Mets last year. 2 men out here in the top of the first. It's the last game in Florida for the Nationals. They're going to play the Yankees tomorrow in Washington. So they're packing up and they're out of town after this game out of Florida. The Mets still have games in Florida tomorrow and on Saturday.
They are so ready to get out of here, aren't they? And how about Ryan Zimmerman? You know, the ball game yesterday, not 1 homer, not 2. We saw the first 2, you and I. Ooh. 3 home runs, and yet, you know, in a couple of days, it's all going to be taken away.
2 men out, a runner in scoring position, and that just missed. Paul Nart calling the balls and strikes.
Rick, as a hitter, you always want to hit the ball well. It feels good. I don't care if it's March, if it's October. To square the ball up is a great feeling as a hitter.
The 3-0, and he walked him on 4 straight.
But there's also a part of you, and in Ryan Zimmerman's case yesterday, the 3 homers, that's kind of kicking yourself, knowing I'm 5 days away from opening day, and I just fired a 3-homer game out there. Man, you go home and just say, the timing's a little off. As glad as you are that you're feeling good heading into the regular season, that one's a little tough to feel great about.
Zach Lutz, the third baseman today for the Mets, will climb in. Right-hand hitter with 2 men on. And he'll take downstairs for a ball. I don't think highly optimistic begins to touch it when you're talking about the Nationals and their feelings for 2013. How many games are they going to win?
Well, they're going to have, as you said earlier, Harper for a full year. He wasn't recalled until the end of April. Strasburg, of course, was shut down the last month of the season in September. But I think you touched on it, Aaron. I don't think everybody realizes how good Zimmerman is. He played in a lot of pain. He was able to go out there and play every day, but the throws hurt him, the power hurt him.
Well, you see how much they've improved year by year by year. Now up to 98 a season ago.
Over 10 games every single year. That means at least 108 wins this year. I wouldn't bet against that.
The 2-0 from Gonzalez has lost the plate a bit, but that's in for a strike, running it in on the thumbs of Lutz. 26-year-old right-hand hitter made his major league debut for the Marlins last year.
Rick, we've seen a ton of fastballs early from Gio Gonzalez facing a division rival 1 week before the start of the season. Do you attack these Met hitters any differently?
Oh, there's no question. There's some things that you'd like to keep them from seeing right now, particularly in spots like this with runners in scoring position. We have not seen one real good curveball as of yet, and we're not the only. Believe me, the Mets know that pitch is there as well. I got to break it out now if I'm Gio. I'm tired of being out there. I want to get this inning over with.
Looking for a strikeout of Lutz with 2 on. Two balls, 2 strikes. Well, expectations for the rebuilding Mets are polar opposite from the Washington Nationals, who are pretty much World Series or bust. The Mets appear to have no chance to contend this year. They finished 4th in the NL East last year. They went 74 and 88. And, of course, traded 20-game winner R.A. Dickey to Toronto. Gonzalez thought he had him there, and the count runs full, 3-2.
Home plate's been a little bit small. Paul Nart's normally one of the better umpires in the game. That clearly looked like it crossed home plate high enough to be strike 3. Once again, that cut fastball on the inner half, but Gonzalez not able to get the call.
Runners get a head start, and he fought it off foul back into the screen.
Dave, I was talking with Steve McCaddy, the pitching coach, before the game about Gio and what would we look for. Is there anything he wants to work on? He said, not really. You know, just more command of that fastball and just kind of get out there and break a sweat. Maybe some of the pitch sequences, put a little bit of that together just to get ready for his first regular season start.
The 3-2 again with Murphy and Baxter on the move, and he got him. He struck him out. Well, he had to work a little bit longer than he wanted as he threw 21 pitches in that inning. The Nationals coming up. No score as the Mets strand 2. Johnson, 70 years old, in his last year as a big league manager. He hangs it up and maybe will do so wearing a world championship ring. Certainly on the East Coast, they are the favorite. Let's get to their starting lineup here, led off by Denard Span.
Well, the one area of weakness for the Nationals last year was leadoff and center field. They've addressed that issue with Denard Span. He should be excellent at getting on base at the top of this lineup. Bryce Harper has moved into the number 3 spot in this order. The Rookie of the Year, I think, will take his place among the game's elites this season. And in the number 5 hole, Adam LaRoche, a career-high 33 homers last year, drove in 100 runs. He provides great protection in the middle of that order.
And up against the right-hander, Domingo Tapia. He's 21 years old. A highly thought-of prospect. He pitched at Single-A last year, right?
Yeah, it's a big step from the Savannah Sand Gnats to facing the Washington Nationals. But that's the task in front of him from Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic.
And Span takes a strike for the Twins last year, 283. Aaron, this is a very cagey offseason pickup for Washington.
I think it's one of the underrated moves by any GM in baseball, and one of the great moves Mike Rizzo's made in his tenure.
Pops it up shallow left, and Cowgill there looking up into the sun for out number 1. And of course, with that move, Bryce Harper moves over to left field.
Right, and remember, the Nationals were in play for center fielders this offseason, and I think when Rizzo realized that the price for B.J. Upton was going to be 5 years and huge dollars, he figured the same with Michael Bourne, and I think then went and said, I'm going to go try and get Denard Span. They had to trade a nice prospect for him, but they got their leadoff hitter.
Roger Bernardina here playing right field today, and he'll be their number 4 outfielder.
How about that? Where would he be playing opening day for the New York Mets?
He'd be starting. He'd be starting for a lot of teams. He's a terrific outfielder. I mean, one of the great defensive plays last season in the major leagues. Jason Worth will be the everyday right fielder. Now, he got hit on the elbow yesterday with a pitch.
Yeah, Davey Johnson saying it was just a slider. It's one of those things he would play through during the regular season, but not today.
A called strike and 2-1.
Guys, I tell you what, I love what I'm seeing right now out of Domingo Tapia. He looks like he's just playing catch at 94 miles an hour.
6'4", 186. Fouled at the plate. We talked about this catch in Washington's game against Houston last August 7th. Nats leading 3-2. Bottom of the 12th, 2 out. Bernardina made a web gem play on a liner by Brett Wallace, preserving the win for Washington, and he disappeared.
Yeah, a walk-off web gem. And he's had a couple of those now over the years that have lasted a long time on our Baseball Tonight web gem of the night.
2-2, swatted at and missed. He got him. 2 fast outs, courtesy of Domingo Tapia.
Just a simple two-seam fastball. We've seen the velocity up in the mid-90s. Bernardina just not expecting the explosion, the downward movement on that last pitch.
Well, Bryce Harper coming up for the first time, maybe the only time today. We'll see how many at-bats he gets. He's been troubled by a swollen left thumb that they've had checked out. There was even some talk that he might have to get a cortisone shot as he goes after the first one with authority, and yet he's reached base in 10 consecutive spring training plate appearances.
Dave, I talked to him for quite a bit yesterday, asked him how he's feeling. He said he's fine. It just really hurts right now if he does get jammed, but it does not prevent him from generating great bat speed. And like you said, he is hot lately, but he has had a tremendous spring as he gets ready for the championship season.
National League Rookie of the Year, an all-star at 19. And he did not make his Major League debut until the 28th of April. And for long stretches, he was the talk of the game as he rattles a foul.
So many amazing things, guys, that he was able to accomplish last year. You would think as he got into September, never having played baseball during the final month of the big league season, maybe a little fatigue might have set in. He might have taken a while to learn to grind it out. No, 7 home runs and .330 for a batting average.
I don't know if for a minute he ever looked like a teenager, but he was. 1 and 2. And on that topic, look at the home runs in his rookie season. And those by a teenager. Tony Conigliaro, 19 with the Red Sox in 64 at the age of 19 at 24. And Harper 22. So number 2 on that list for teenagers. 2 and 2.
I think this year he's going to take his place among the greats in our game. I think he makes that big a jump in his game this year. But I think what really will ultimately separate him from the game's elite is his extreme desire to not be great, but to be the greatest to play this game. He is driven by that.
Slaps a base hit through the hole. That was on a 2-2 pitch, so Harper is aboard with a single, and he continues to have an outstanding spring.
Aaron, I totally agree with you. The only question I have is really the same question that we have about Mike Trout. They play the game so hard. They're going to run into every wall. They're going to dive for every ball in the outfield they think they have a chance to catch. They're going to try to take every extra base they can. We saw Harper last year steal home. They just got to stay healthy. That's the only question.
After getting drilled by Cole Hamels. Well, here's Zimmerman, Ryan Zimmerman, the third baseman, 282, 25 homers last season, driving in 95 runs, all on a bad shoulder. And as he told Tim Kirchin, it is no longer a bad shoulder after being surgically repaired.
And there was a point mid-season last year where they were thinking about shutting him down and having the procedure. It was that bad. It was finally a third cortisone shot that kind of worked and allowed him to get out there for the remainder of the season.
In for a called strike. No score here in the first inning. And not a particularly windy day in Vieira. And Aaron, you noticed this. Usually those flags are absolutely blowing out to center field, and it's a howling gale here. And today actually quite calm.
You know, Dave, for all the windy places in Florida in spring training, I think you and I would agree that this place is probably the windiest. And the first thing I asked you today was, have you ever been to Space Coast Stadium and not seen the flags rippling in some direction?
I never have. And today it's just perfect. As Harper is back in. Harper came to camp about 20 pounds heavier than a season ago. I think it's noticeable in that upper body. And Davy Johnson has a theory on that, and it's not necessarily that he wanted to add the weight because as the season grinds down, he drops pounds. Davy said, look, he's 20. He's still growing. Fouled away.
Exactly. I mean, we've had the same issue come up with Mike Trout, talking about the weight gain he's had. I got to see Mike Trout a couple weeks ago. He is in tremendous shape. And I think part of their growth is them being so young. But to see two dynamic players, Rick, like Trout and Harper, come in at such a young age at the same time, you're right. If they stay healthy, it's going to be a special thing to watch the next.
They just do so many things that right now he's trying to steal second base. They just, and their love for the game. I mean, both of those guys want to play every day. They play hard every day.
2 out. There goes Harper. Good pitch to Ryan. It's thrown into center field. He has the steal. Now he's on to third. He forced Rector to toss it into the outfield. So Harper winds up at third base with 2 away.
Well, and he's now 6 for 6 in stolen base attempts here in spring training. But it's not just all of his ability, but it's his intelligence as well. Here he goes. He slides into second, and what does he do? He looks to center field. That's the only place you need to look in case the baseball were to have gotten away. He didn't see the throw coming down. He didn't know what was happening. But when he saw the baseball headed towards the center fielder, that's when he knew he could easily get to third.
So Zimmerman with the RBI chance, a 2-2 pitch from Tapia, and he fought it back foul. Harper has a lot bigger things in mind this year after what he accomplished last year, but he's not talking about them. After the season ended, he decided on some statistical goals for this year, and he stored them on his phone. He said some of the numbers are flat crazy, and I don't want to show them to anybody. Said the average person would look at it and go, this kid's an idiot for thinking he could do that.
Rick, I'm just glad that we're seeing the image of Bryce Harper kind of switch. Remember when he came up, he had this view of being cocky, of being brash, of doing things.
The haircuts kind of led you to think that.
You know what? All the kid does is play the game with all of his heart, plays it hard, respects the game.
2-2 cut on and miss. Pretty nasty pitch there from Tapia, who strikes out a very good hitter in Ryan Zimmerman. Harper wind up at third base. So we are scoreless after 1 here in Vieira.
And Alex Cora in our Baseball Tonight studios. Jays and Phillies. Roy Halladay has been struggling this spring. He had a 1-2-3 first against the Jays, but in the second starting to struggle. Adam Lim with a double here, Alex.
In that first inning, he got the 1-2-3 inning, but his pitches were up in the zone. That's something I bet the Phillies are a little bit worried. Hopefully he can figure out and be ready for opening day.
Halladay lost 10 pounds this spring due to a stomach illness and has been struggling after the Lynn double. Not one, but 2 walks as well. So for Halladay, do you think he'll turn it around in time for the season, Alex?
I think so. He's laboring right now, but, he's a veteran guy that he'll figure out.
We'll see. He was hurt last year as well. Let's get you back to Dave, Rick, Aaron, and Tim in Viera, Florida. Guys?
And then, Alex, thank you very much, gentlemen. After 1, we have no score between the Mets and the Washington Nationals. Kirk Neuenhuis, who's trying to make a roster spot for the New York Mets. He's in center field today. Rick, what are your thoughts on Halladay and his scuffles this spring?
Dave, I talked to him yesterday, and it's truly what was just reported there. It's been that stomach virus. As always with Roy Halladay, he doesn't want to make an excuse. He didn't want to talk about it. He went out there. Things didn't go well, but he had to continue going out there to keep the arm strength there. And this is just the final test now before the regular season. Is he at 100% right now? No. Will he be? He told me yes.
Guys, I view him as important to the success of any team as any player in Major League Baseball. If he is Roy Halladay, Rick, the Phillies absolutely have a fighting chance in the National League East. If he's not, cancel Christmas.
They have a chance to win the East if he's healthy?
They'll flirt with it. The 3 they run out there, they got a fighter's chance, is what I'm saying. Without him, I think the rebuild.
What do they have in the outfield?
The window
there?
Closes.
3-2 pitch, and he missed with it, so ball 4. And Gonzalez has shown a little bit of frustration with a tight plate on this beautiful day. He's walked 2 men.
I think the second guy that he thought he struck out, I think when he walked off the mound, I think there's frustration in the home plate umpire right now with the starting pitcher as well.
So 27 pitches on a day when he's going to throw no more than 70, ideally. And Anthony Recker, the backup catcher for the Mets, who's committed an error today, will climb in. Runner on at first base. Nobody out here in the second. Runner safe at first base. Let's go down to Tim Kirchin for more on Roy Halladay.
Dave, I spoke to a scout this morning who's seen Halladay throw 3 times this spring, and he told me the ball is just not coming out of his hand like it's supposed to. And he said he's trying to trick guys with his breaking stuff at this point, which is simply not Roy Halladay. He's at 85 to 88 miles an hour, which, again, is not Roy Halladay. But the scout did say he's as clever a pitcher as we know, and if he can get his velocity back in the next few days, he'll still be a very good pitcher. But right now, there's some real struggles going on.
0-2 to count here on Recker, and he has an incredible capacity to come back when he's hurt or when he's had an illness in the past.
Well, the thing for me, guys, when you take 10 pounds off his body, his body fat's what? 4 or 5%, whatever the lowest is it can be for a guy 6'6". It's obviously going to hurt, and it's going to take some time to get that strength back.
0-2 fouled straight back by Recker.
Well, and I think if he does get that strength back, Rick, and does get some of that velocity back, he'll be fine. Because the secondary pitches, from what I've seen even this spring, are there. The changeup that falls off is still there. The cutter, the breaking ball are still there. But he needs to get two-seamer and that cut fastball at the velocity he wants to return to being the great pitcher we've seen.
And blocked off to the left by Suzuki. The runner will move up. Neuenhuis into second base on the wild pitch.
You know, what I'm seeing right now with Gio Gonzalez is not the guy that we saw last year, not the guy that I saw in the World Baseball Classic. It's kind of a guy that's already checked out. I mean, he is already on that plane, and he's getting ready for his first start of the season. He's just kind of going through the motions right now, walking people, not really using the pitch sequences that he normally would use.
As a man in scoring position, and he misses again. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I guess that's understandable. It has been a very long spring. And because of the World Baseball Classic, this has been a terrifically long spring.
Yeah, these guys have been here since the 1st of February. And the big thing is what Aaron was talking about with Zimmerman. I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready to put up some big numbers, and it's not started yet.
And I think, as we've touched on, facing a division rival and being reluctant to really show the real repertoire probably makes it a little awkward out on the mound for Gio Gonzalez.
Check swing, another one stopped by Suzuki. He's had to be very active here in the first couple of innings.
You know, that's another thing that Dan Worthen was telling all of us before the game. Rafael Montero, a guy that's going to be in Double-A, one of the top prospects in their system, was scheduled and available to pitch today. But it would have been the third time for the Mets that he started against the Nationals. They didn't want that to happen.
3-2, a strikeout. He got him over the inside corner at 94. So Gonzalez makes the pitch he needs to make, his third K.
Well, despite his struggles a little bit with the strike zone, Rick, we still have seen some great fastballs from Gio Gonzalez. And you see Suzuki set up there on the inside corner, perhaps a bit generous on the inside corner, maybe a bit off the plate on the inside, but at 94 miles an hour, able to stick the glove of catcher Kurt Suzuki.
I thought Suzuki really caught that ball well, keeping as much of the glove towards the plate, catching the ball really in the heel of it.
Here's Quintanilla taking a strike. By the way, Halliday got out of the inning we showed you with 2 strikeouts. So he closed it in style.
I don't want to say I told you so, but he told me. It's not my opinion. It's what he said.
Well, Rick, we were talking today. We think we're going to be in Philadelphia on April 8th for these Mets and the Phillies, and it looks like it's going to set up to be Roy Halladay. So we'll get a good look at him early, possibly, which I'm really looking forward to. Always for me, one of the real joys of this job is getting to see a guy like the doctor work. He's fun to watch pitch.
We found out earlier today, too, who his mound opponent's going to be.
Mr. Harvey.
Mr. Matt Harvey, who I'm every bit as excited to check out in person.
One down and the 0-2. And a piece of it for Quintanilla. The pitcher Tapia is on deck. No score in the second.
Just to finish on the Phillies, guys, I do know one thing. I mean, there's a lot of questions that they have there, but we all know that team knows how to win. And if Utley and Ryan Howard are healthy, Roy Halladay, yeah, they're going to be good.
Lee and Hamels. Ground ball to the middle. Espinosa gets in front of it. The one play at first, and there are 2 down. Let's get it back to the studio. Adnan Burke with an update on Roy Halladay.
All right, Dave, as you mentioned, Halladay was in trouble, but worked out with a couple of Ks. Maestros, Torres, and Emilio Bonifacio. Nice banger there.
Yeah, like Rick says, I think Halladay is going to be fine. We got to trust him. His strike record talks about what he can do.
Scoreless in the third. Dave, back to you.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. And here's Tapia, the young Dominican at 21 years old, getting the start for the Mets today. This can't be the most comfortable situation for the youngster. At his age, facing this caliber of pitcher, and that's in there for a strike.
Well, I'm sure there's some excitement, some butterflies coming out of here, but from what we saw in the first inning, he looked very at ease and very comfortable.
On the mound he did.
On the mound. I'm sure being in just A-ball last year where they primarily used the DH, he hasn't done a lot of hitting, and it shows right here.
So number 92 goes down swinging. 4 strikeouts in the book for Gonzalez, who strands another man. He's left 3 Mets tied to their bases today. No score after 1.5. Baseball is on ESPN Sunday, March 31st, featuring a new division rivalry. The Astros debuting in the AL West. Ranger slugger Adrian Beltre leading Texas up against Houston. Opening night baseball on ESPN, presented by Burger King. And our crew will be in Yankee Stadium on Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Red Sox and the Yankees, and the first edition of that rivalry for 2013.
It looks like we're going to have a decent afternoon, mid-50s, some sun.
We just checked the forecast.
A great pitching matchup. CC Sabathia out there again on opening day for the Yankees, and the rejuvenated, the new John Lester.
He has looked great this spring, hasn't he?
He has. He's had a terrific spring. Here's Adam LaRoche, the first baseman. 271, 33 homers, 100 RBIs, and all the talk in New England centers not around the pitching staff necessarily, but around a young outfielder by the name of Jackie Bradley Jr. And will he make that ball club? Very exciting outfielder. A high, deep drive down the right field line. This one way, way back by LaRoche and gone. That one is on top of the roof there, the batting cages. He crushed it. Adam LaRoche, who hit 33 last year, flirted with free agency, then signed a 2-year deal with Washington. And are they ever delighted he's come back?
Well, he shows off the power that made him a 30-homer, 100 RBI guy a year ago. This just a classic two-seam fastball. He's trying to go down and away with it, and it drifts over the inner part and down right in that happy zone for most power-hitting lefties. And that ball is crushed way out onto the batting cages out there in right field.
I'll tell you what, guys, for a guy that gave up a lot of home runs, it hurts a lot more when they like bang off a building like that.
They make that bang.
You could hear that from here.
Wow, that was loud. You could, and you know, in this place, you'd say, well, that was definitely wind aided because of the way the wind blows here in Vieira. It's just a breeze today. He just crushed that ball.
As he did a lot last year.
Yeah. Outstanding season. Ian Desmond had one too. 25 homers. Shortstop batting now. Hitting .292. Let's listen to the home run by LaRoche. Well, that sounded gone at the crack of the bat.
That's an oh my.
You two can smile about that. That brings back some bad memories right there.
You're not grinning.
You know, in watching Tapia here, I think, Rick, our first impression is this is a guy that could probably right now be a reliever in the major league level with that arm angle.
Ground ball to third. Lutz up with it cleanly.
Aaron, I totally agree with you, particularly because of what we just saw right there. Every bullpen needs somebody that can come in and get a ground ball. You're going to have men on first and second, nobody out. You're going to have situations where you need that double play. And I mean, this two-seam fastball that we've seen already is as good as there is.
The question is, with that arm angle, will it prevent him from developing a nice breaking ball, good enough secondary pitches to get left-handed hitters out as a starting pitcher? I think that's the question the Mets have to answer the next couple of seasons as he develops through the minor leagues.
That sends up Danny Espinosa, and that one is driven deep into right center field. On the run, Baxter back to the wall, and that one is going to be out of here. That's a home run as well for Danny Espinosa as Washington goes back-to-back here in the second inning to take a 2-0 lead. He hit 17 a season ago. So that's legitimate up-the-middle power.
Well, this is a team that can hurt you up and down the lineup. And we talk about the Nationals being a complete team. Espinosa is certainly part of that. 17 homers a season ago. Another fastball on the inside part of the plate, almost on the corner. Really a good job of getting the head of the bat to the ball by Danny Espinosa. Another guy that's a lot more healthy heading into this year. They think he's going to improve on his numbers from last year as well.
And for more on Espinosa, let's bring in Tim Kirkman.
Dave, Espinosa told me that last year, at the end of the year, he had no strength in his front shoulder when he swung the bat left-handed. He finally got his shoulder looked at. There was all sorts of damage in there, but instead of fixing it surgically, he just rehabbed it. And now he said there is strength in his shoulder that he simply did not have at the end of last year, and we just saw it on that swing.
Timmy, he struck out 189 times last year, as you know. Did he say some of that was because of that bad shoulder, that rotator cuff?
Well, he's a swing and miss guy, whether he's healthy or not, and he has really worked on that this spring. I was talking to some of their guys that he knows he has to put the ball in play more often this year, especially with the position that he plays, but he's really working at it. And keep in mind, they have Steve Lombardozzi playing behind him. That's a pretty good backup. Danny Espinosa knows he has to play well to keep his job.
The 3-0 pitch, and he'll take ball 4. So Kurt Suzuki on, one of the two catchers we're both going to buy for a lot of playing time. Ramos, the other guy.
I think they're real happy with that. I look forward later on in the afternoon as we get a chance to talk to Aaron's dad, Bob Boone, about the catching situation here with Washington. But, guys, I tell you what, and Aaron, you know better than me, I really think that Bryce Harper has had a little bit to do with some of the success the left-handed hitters have had this inning. He chased a couple of those two-seam fastballs off the plate away, finally got a base hit on something middle in. You know, Aaron, you guys have those conversations. You know, what'd you see? What should I look for?
Gonzalez to try and drop down a bunt, lines a foul for strike 1.
Rick, no question about it. And obviously Tapia is probably a guy that pretty much all of the Nationals in the lineup today probably have not seen. They may have gotten some kind of small scouting report. But you're right, Harper going up there, having a 7-8 pitch at bat, seeing what his ball's doing, you can be certain was back, hey, telling the guys what this guy has, maybe what to look for.
Suzuki on at first with 1 down. And Washington flashing power to right and right center here in the second inning. 2 home runs, LaRoche and Espinosa. Newly acquired Denard Span on deck for the Nats. And the 1-1 from Tapia. Bunted. Choppy bunt. The pitcher looks to second and throws it into the outfield. Suzuki will stay put at second base. But everybody's safe. Tapia elected not to take the shore out. And it cost him.
I tell you, I think what got him right there was Anthony Recker. Yeah, if you've got a big league pitcher on the mound, you might make that call. But, guys, I could hear somebody yelling 2-2-2, which means the throw needs to go to second base. He didn't have the best position when he caught the ball. He didn't get the crow hop going in the direction of the throw. That throw should have gone to first base.
Took an awful long time to get that throw down to second base.
You got to know your guy, you know, and it's really unfair for Anthony Recker right now to have an idea of what kind of fielder Tapia is there. But that was just a messed up play from the very beginning, along with a guy that played in A-ball last year on the mound.
So the Mets have made 2 errors here in the first 2 innings. One by the catcher, one by the pitcher. And here's Span, who flied out to left his first trip. Span, a big-time doubles guy. He had 38 of them from Minnesota last year. And outstanding defensively.
Only played in 125 games, so that is a lot of production.
2-0 the count. So they've got Worth and right on a regular basis. And, of course, Harper now over in left, who's played a lot of center. And now Denard Span as the center fielder. It's a very, very good outfield. Worth has an outstanding arm.
It has to be, because it's a very big outfield that they have to play 81 home games in.
And they love their infield defense.
Well, we've already seen Danny Espinosa make a nice play up the middle today. Rick and I got a chance to watch a few innings of yesterday's ball game, seeing how he moves around at second, and we've both become huge fans of Ian Desmond at short. Tremendous range, really good arm, has started to become more consistent, cut down on the errors. This is a team without a lot of weaknesses, guys.
Well, the first baseman won a Gold Glove a year ago. Aaron, as you mentioned, the third baseman has played a Gold Glove third base his entire career until the injury.
Into the dirt, blocked behind Rector. Everyone's going to stay at first and second. They will not move up. But that begs the question when you're watching the Nationals, as we prepare for the 2013 season, if they have a weakness, what is it?
Well, I would say last year they had a couple of lefties in the bullpen that played big-time roles. This year, they don't have those left-handed pitchers down there. They do have Zach Duke. He's more of a long man. They just signed J.C. Romero to a minor league deal. Rick, you saw him in the WBC. He looked to be good. They may play a role. And they feel like Tyler Clippard, one of their outstanding back-end relievers who gets lefties out, can get lefties out.
Line into left field, a base hit. Suzuki in the third, they're going to wave him in. Cowgirls throw. The tag, a lunge, and he's safe. And it's 3-0 Washington. Rector had to dive back toward the plate. Suzuki's a very good base runner. Runners at first and second, and another man in for the Nats.
Well, just a line drive. I kind of had to play it like an infielder, and because of that, didn't set his feet properly, and that throw goes up the first base line. But because Cowgill couldn't field it one-handed and charging, and I don't know why, I don't know if the ball took a funny hop on him or what, he had to kind of corral it. It caused that throw to be offline, and that allowed Suzuki to get in just ahead.
And guys, as you know, that's such a big thing in the National League. Having a leadoff hitter can not only hit for an average, but can hit with runners in scoring position. Because by design right there, Gonzalez was going to lay down the sacrifice bunt. There was going to be a runner at second and 2 outs, and those hits are hard to come by. Not everybody can do that. Span, again, is one of those guys.
Rick, I think that's a great point. One of the more underrated things to talk about out of a leadoff hitter. You don't think of that, but especially on this team that's deep throughout the lineup, and that pitcher moving them over.
And
what a bonus.
So much in the American League because the ninth guy's not going to bunt there. But
2 on, 1 out, 3 runs into the inning for the Nationals. Brings up Roger Bernardina, who struck out in the first inning. Tapia looked pretty good in the opening frame. He has run into a lot of trouble here in the second.
They've got him figured out, guys. If it's not a fastball that starts on the inner half of the plate, forget about it. He can't throw an off-speed pitch for a strike. He's not done that as of yet. And the fastball aways a ball.
Foul at the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. We're talking about potential weaknesses for the Nationals. It strikes me, if you have to go into the bullpen and start talking about they don't have enough lefty, it might be a lefty short. We're really down the list. We're really looking for stuff. They may well acquire an additional left-hander.
Well, guys, I made the comment last night at our meeting. I think there's a real good chance that Ross Detweiler could lead the staff in wins. There's nobody that comes close to having a number 5 starter as talented as he is right now.
He could win more games than Strasburg, you think?
I think he might. Him going up against everybody else's number 5. Don't forget, on opening day, there's Felix Hernandez there. There's Justin Verlander. There's Jared Weaver. You pitch opening day, you're going to be lined up against those guys for at least a month.
That one gets away all the way to the backstop. Gonzalez will move up. Span will move up. A big league wild pitch by Tapia. So 2 men in scoring position.
Having been there a couple of times in that opening day, that's not always a blessing. You look at Gio Gonzalez there. You've got Zimmerman. Danny Herron is a number 4 guy. They say he's healthy once again. And just at 27 years of age, Detweiler, 10 wins a year ago. That number's going to go up.
What a terrific rotation. Second in the majors behind Tampa Bay in ERA and opponent's batting average. Here's ball 4. Second walk issue in this inning, and that's going to load the bases. Steven Strasburg last year, of course, never pitched in the postseason. Very controversially, but went 15-6, a 3.16 ERA with electrifying stuff. 197 strikeouts in 159 1/3 innings. Just dominant.
And dominant as a person, too. I mean, he's one of those guys that prepares just as hard as anybody else that's not as talented.
And now you have this guy as well, Bryce Harper. Talk about two guys who are going to dominate the National League scene for years and years to come. And Harper has the bases loaded. He's already singled and stolen a base. No place to put him here, and 3-0 Washington in the second inning. And he takes ball one.
How about the star power guys now in the nation's capital? When you think of Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, really as popular two players in Major League Baseball right now, and they're obviously going to be around for a long time. RG3 for the Redskins.
Yeah, they run behind RG3 in D.C. No question.
No question about it. But just to show you, a lot of good things happen in the nation's capital right now from a sports standpoint.
Fouled straight back. Good rip there by Harper. He wanted to hit that 450 feet. On the cover of Sports Illustrated back in February in the nation's capital, and talking about an encore after his outstanding rookie season, Rookie of the Year in the National League, and an All-Star at 19. One and two to count.
If there's any chance at all right now that Tapia could come up with a good changeup, I think he could get the strikeout. He has not been able to do it. The Washington Nationals obviously know that. But the thing he's got to do, the two changeups that I've seen have been 88, 89 miles an hour. That's too hard. There's got to be a bigger gap. If he can throw a changeup here at 83, 84, I think worst case scenario, he gets a ground ball.
Gonzalez, Span, and Bernardina filling the bases. Driven into left field, racing back Cowgill. He's got room. He makes the catch. Gonzalez tagging at third. He is in to score. That ball stroked by Harper. He picks up the RBI. That makes it 4-0 Washington.
Well, Tapia wanted to get this ball in on his hands, but it leaks up and out over the plate. And you see with two strikes there, Harper still able to pound that ball to left field. Cowgill does a nice job of getting back, but he does his job. You want to stay in the big part of the field with a man on third and less than 2 outs. He drives it the other way and just misses it, getting over his head for arguably a bases clearing double.
Greg Burke, right-hander, getting up in the Mets bullpen here very early. And Tapia is not out of it yet. Here's Zimmerman. Ryan Zimmerman struck out his first time, and that's all the way to the backstop. So Tapia is all over the place. Runners will move up to first and second.
Just afraid right now of those secondary pitches. Did not throw a changeup to Harper. Tries to throw the breaking ball here, and you can see not even close. There's just a big lack of confidence right now. And what's going on? The team, he knows who he's facing. And what I worry about right now, people talk about pitch counts. For me, it never is the total number of pitches. It's the intensity that goes into the long innings. And this is right now where, to me, you're taking a big chance on a young man's arm.
He's throwing a lot of pitches here in the second inning. High fly into right. Baxter there. Room, and makes the catch, and it's finally over for Tapia. He allowed 2 homers in the inning. Gave up 4 runs. The home runs hit by Adam LaRoche. What a sweet swing. And by Danny Espinosa. Serious power for the Nationals. They lead it 4-0 after 2. This telecast of Major League Baseball spring training on ESPN is brought to you by Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far. Like right into our cameraman on the knoll. 4-0. Nationals have the lead after 2. Rick Sutcliffe, Aaron Boone, Dave O'Brien, and Tim Kirchin with you on a splendid day for baseball. And the Nationals rolling toward the regular season. And opening day for them in D.C. against the Marlins. Gio Gonzalez back to work into his 3rd inning against Colin Cowgill, who he struck out 1st inning. Soft roller to first base, and LaRoche is there to underhand flip for the out. So 1 man gone in front of Daniel Murphy.
Well, so far to Cowgill, now his 2nd time up. Rick, just a steady diet of 2-seamers from Gio. Hasn't even had to go to the breaking ball. Cowgill so far unable to make the adjustment.
And to me, Aaron, the adjustment he's got to make, he's got to get closer to home plate. Because, I mean, Gonzalez is just going to stay there until you prove you can do something with that pitch.
Suzuki almost got beamed there. He's sharing a laugh with the pitcher. Ball 1 to Murphy. Take a look at this moments ago. Yo! So it is still spring training. Not everyone's in perfect sync yet.
That's coming in hot right there. Jeez, look out. Look out below.
I think he had a helmet and a mask on.
So that was as they were throwing it around the infield?
Yeah. It came from Zimmerman.
Zimmerman fired it back.
We told you Zim's arm was feeling better.
Line shot caught by Espinosa. Murphy's had a couple of good at-bats, but nothing to show on that one, and 2 fast outs in the 3rd.
You know, that's Terry Collins, you know, over there is feeling real good about what he's seen out of Murph. And after tagging up from first base and going head first, he's probably happy with the line out to second. Rick.
Keep him off the base pass.
That's right. Way to swing it, go sit down.
And if I'm Terry Collins, I'll take that out of today.
Absolutely.
Forget about a win, a loss, anything else. If Murphy's healthy, it's been a good day for the Mets.
2 away for Lucas Duda. 0 for 1 with a fly to center. Duda ticketed to play left field for the Mets this season. Base is empty for him.
Unbelievable power, Aaron.
Yeah, it's one of those when you're watching batting practice, Rick, it's a different sound coming off a Duda's bat. It's big-time power. It's got to develop for this Met team to.
Fly to shallow center. Span coming on. He's going to get there. He makes the grab. And it's a fast inning for Gio Gonzalez. He needs only 8 pitches to retire the side. And he gets the Mets in order. In this one, they are delighted to have him looking healthier after a battle with an intercostal. It's the same thing that David Wright has been troubled by. And the Mets very hopeful to have him ready for opening day. And we're very happy to have Tim Tuffle with us, the Mets coach, third base coach, and also the infield coach, who works with these guys on a regular basis. And these were 2 of the major stories for the Mets this season, whether they would be ready. Tim, thanks for being with us today. And you got to like what you're seeing from Murphy today. This has to be a sigh of relief for the Mets.
Oh, big time. We've been waiting for Murph to get healthy, and he's been doing his side work. And oh, of course, Murph is throwing stuff at me now.
Naturally.
But he's been doing a lot of work on the minor league side, getting in games. And, I think he looks good today. He broke his bat his first at bat, but he's running the bases. He hit a line shot just a minute ago, and I'm just waiting for some plays at second base, but he looks pretty good today.
Tim, Aaron Boone here. What can you tell us about David Wright and his progress? Where is he at?
He's in the same spot, but you know what? We're not as concerned about David as we were Murph, because Murph hasn't had a spring training. David went to the WBC, has had a lot of bats under his belt, already had a preseason. He's been down here since February 4th. So it's a matter of just getting healed up. Today we did extra ground balls on the main field back in St. Lucie, and now he's going to take today off, and I think he's going to play a game over there. I think he's going to go 5 innings. So I think he's close. I think he's close to being ready, and we'd love to see him break camp and come up to New York with us.
And, Tim, while we're on the topic of you talking with Aaron Boone, all in the family with the Boones, it is with you and your boy, and the Mets as well. He was just signed by the Mets, right?
Yeah, he just signed. He was with Detroit for a little bit. Now he's jumping on board here. So look forward to him getting a shot here. He's a left-handed reliever, and we'll see where it takes him.
Tim, obviously there's some question marks with your ball club coming into this season. What are some of the big keys that you see?
Well, I'll tell you, when we look at John Buck behind the plate, what a job he's done in spring training. He only hit 198 last year, but he had 14 home runs. But his swing looks really good in spring. I'm hoping he can come off to give us the numbers that we project from the way he's swinging the bat now. Another one is Duda. If Lucas Duda can do the job in left field and swing the bat the way he's capable of doing, those are big guys for us.
Tim, we're getting an opportunity to see Quintanilla play shortstop. We saw him the other day. We've been really impressed with him defensively. What can you tell us?
Well, Quintanilla is definitely a professional. He goes about his business right. He was with us last year, did a great job in New York. He was picked up by Baltimore, went to the playoffs with them, so he's got playoff experience. I love the kid as a guy who can jump in there and give you a quality at bat, and also you don't worry about him on defense. If it's the 8th, 9th inning of a tight game, that's the guy you want out there.
Tim, thanks so much for joining us. Again, congrats on your son joining the New York Mets as well, and have a great year.
Hey, thank you so much, guys. Take care. You too.
Tim Tuffle joining us today here from Vieira, Florida. Now he gets to go back to work. He's going to go find Murphy, find out why he's throwing stuff at him. Greg Burke on the mound now for the Mets as he delivers low on LaRoche. Murphy with some baseball hijinks. It's the end of spring training. Everyone's ready to finally get out of here.
I'd say he's healthy.
Exactly.
You don't do things like that on the bench if you're headed back to the disabled list.
2-2 popped up, foul territory. Duda hoping for room over near the dugout, but it's over the top of the dugout roof. Now Greg Burke on the mound here, taking over for Tapia, who was roughed up over 2 innings, surrendering 4 runs, 4 hits, including a couple of wild pitches and an error, but this is a funky delivery.
It really is. I don't know that you can get any more deceptive than this. Aaron, I don't think it'd be a whole lot of fun for a guy as you were from the right side.
Yeah, definitely a built-in advantage for righties. Does he have the secondary to be able to get left-handed hitters out? Time will tell.
LaRoche has already homered. He hit a mammoth shot in the 2nd inning. Deep to right and gone.
That's one of those pitches, fastball in there to a lefty, getting LaRoche to move his feet in the regular season. This is where you'd like to see him have that ability to backdoor that slider or to even start a slider on the plate and go for that back foot. That pitch right there, Rick, can set up a lot of things if you have the repertoire to deliver.
And in this situation, and a lot of times in the big leagues, you only get one chance to do it. So can you throw that off-speed pitch on the outer half right now? If you can't, you can stay in the big leagues for a while.
3-2 got him. Struck him out at 86-mile-an-hour pitch. He fans LaRoche. So 1 man out in front of Ian Desmond.
Guys, you see players at the minor league level that coaches tell them, what you're doing right now, you're not going anywhere. There's a lot of guys that drop down below, that change their arm angle just to try to create some deception to where they can have more success.
Desmond 0 for 1. He has grounded out to third. Had a breakout season last year. Hitting .292, won a Silver Slugger, 25 home runs. And he is vowing to be less of a free swinger this year. Loves the first pitch. He says he's not going to back down from that. Swung at it 47% of the time last year.
Aaron, you were on Desmond early last year. I remember on Baseball Tonight in April, you were talking about this guy.
Well, he's been one of those guys that's been drafted and developed by the Washington Nationals. And you could see from a very young age in the minor leagues, even when he was very raw, just a very live body. And now he's starting to find that consistency, the consistency to make him a very good player.
Took a big wave there and came up empty, 2-2. One thing he's really done, he's brought his errors down from 34 to 23 to just 15 last year.
And that was the big question. Was he going to be able to cut down on the errors enough to be an everyday shortstop? And I think we're finding out that the answer is yes. When he first came up, all the tools, all the ability to make the great play, but what allows you to be an everyday player, especially at shortstop in the big leagues, is making the routine, and he's shown he's able to do that now, along with all the great plays.
3-2. Popped up first base side again, and Duda on the track is there for the catch. 2 down. Let's check in with the studio. Here's Adnan.
All right, Dave, the Roy Halladay update continues. Facing his former team, the Toronto Blue Jays, and he is laboring Edwin Encarnacion and Adam Lynn with a couple of RBI singles, Alex.
Out of all the numbers that we're going to see today, the most important thing, he's going to go 5 innings and he's going to be ready for opening day.
Halladay right now about to start his 5th inning. How important is that to get a guy work like that?
I mean, we know he needs the repetition, especially with his sickness. You know, hopefully he can get his pitch count up and he can be ready.
Jays up 2-0. Dave, back to you.
Thank you, men. Bases empty here in Vieira. 4-0 Washington lead. Espinosa at the plate. He's cracked a home run today. Another good defensive play. Made just 6 errors last season. And Davey Johnson said this before the game, that all the years he's been in baseball, all the clubs he has managed, and some great clubs, this might be the best defensive infield that he has had.
Well, and what we've started to see with Espinosa, as we touched on with Desmond, the ability to make the routine play. So we're seeing all those errors come down. But at the same time, you look around the field, it's a very athletic group. Espinosa, Desmond, both with outstanding range up the middle. Denard Span, outstanding range in center field. Suzuki, who's catching today. So they're very strong up the middle. And then you got a Gold Glover at third and Zimmerman with a healthy shoulder. It's just a very, very athletic team with a very high ceiling.
0-2 tap to the hill, and Burke will throw on to get him. So he has a nifty 3rd inning. He gets the 1-2-3 to quiet the Washington bats, at least for now. Superb day here in Florida, especially for the Nationals, up 4-0. Top half of the 4th coming up. Nationals with a 4-0 lead over the New York Mets on 4 hits to the Mets 1. Bryce Harper, we've seen him a couple of times today at the plate. He's now out of the ball game and joined by our Tim Kirchin.
Bryce, your thumb has given you a little trouble lately. How did it feel today?
It felt fine. I think, just going throughout, today I was trying to square balls up and really not get jammed. We don't need that, and hopefully tomorrow I can do the same thing and square a few balls up.
I think you reached base 11 straight plate appearances. Where is your swing right now?
I have no clue. You know, when you're going good, you don't think about it. And, you know, it's just spring training, though. You know, everybody's going to get better, and everybody's going to, you know, it's a lot different during the season. So, you know, just try to go in there in spring training and just try to, you know, do things the right way, score balls up as much as you can, and, you know, just try to get ready for season.
What was the biggest thing you learned last year in your first Major League season?
You know, it's a mental grind. You know, it's a huge mental grind, and you just try to go out there and play every single game like it's your last, play hard, and, you know, good things will happen. You know, I had a great group of guys around me all year long. LaRoche, Worth, Zimmerman, you know, they all really helped me every single day, and, you know, I owe a lot to them.
You're going to be the left fielder. You've played all over the outfield. What about playing left field every day?
You know, we got a great asset in, you know, Denard Span, and it's exciting. You know, he's a great leadoff guy and a great center fielder. So, you know, be able to play aside him and play aside, you know, Jason Worth is going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, I'm excited just being in the lineup every day.
Bryce, what is it like to head north with a team that everybody looks at and says, this team is loaded? How excited is everyone around here?
I think everybody's very excited. You know, getting Denard Span and Dan Herron and Soriano, you know, three guys that are, you know, very competitive and know how to, you know, play this game the right way, pitch the right way. You know, those are three huge assets on our team, and, you know, we're very excited about this year, having Strasburg all year long, Jordan, Detweiler, Gio, you know, that's that top of the end starting, and, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun.
For 100 years in baseball, there's been something called a sophomore jinx or something like that. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't believe in it. You know, I don't want to believe in it. I don't want to think about it, nothing. You know, I just want to go out there, play the game the right way, play it hard, and, you know, hopefully, you know, get 98 wins in the win column again and get into playoffs and, you know, so forth. So, you know, we're just going to go out there, play our game, and, you know, just have some fun.
I'm told you wrote down some statistical goals for this year, and you're not letting anybody see it. Is that true?
Yeah, you know, I write down some stuff every single year. You know, I think you got to have goals, you got to have dreams, and you know, I really believe that, you know, we have a great team, great group of guys that can really, you know, get going and, you know, have some fun and, you know, really get deep into playoffs, the World Series. You know, like I said, you know, we have a great staff, great guys on the field, and, you know, we're excited.
Last thing on Steven Strasburg, when you look in his eyes now, what do you see about a guy starting the season?
You know, he's an absolute workhorse for us. You know, like I said before, we have 5 starters that can be number ones. And, you know, it's an exciting time for us. You know, I think having Strauss all year long, a guy that competes, pitches his butt off every single game he goes out there, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm excited to be able to, you know, be part of that and really, you know, have some fun this year.
Bryce, thanks so much. Good luck this year.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See you.
Tim, Bryce, thank you very much. He begged for those 2 at-bats today, and he got them. Davey Johnson wasn't going to tell him no. Now, I don't know when he's 37 at the end of March if he's going to be begging for at-bats, but he is now.
You know what? I think he might, man.
He might.
Rick, he's just that.
It's a Pete Rose thing.
It really is.
Pete Rose loved playing the game at 37. I agree with you. I don't think that'll change with this kid.
He's something else. It's the motor, you know. The motor's always on high.
Dustin Pedroia, Dave, who you know well. I mean, the same kind of thing, that passion to constantly get better. And how about Timmy Kirchin? Can he just take the rest of the day off? I mean, started out the show with Zimmerman, the Mets manager.
Well, I hope he does, and we have a ways to go yet. We're in the 4th inning.
How's he going to top that? I mean, it's just downhill from here, isn't it?
That's got to be a lonely feeling. Gonzalez with back-to-back strikeouts here. Neuenhuis takes one down low. And our man in motion. Look at Timmy on the go here. This is over to get Bryce Harper. Look at the wheels.
Look at the left arm movement there.
Classic.
Just plugging him along.
Oh.
But that's in real motion, isn't it? I mean, that
was actual speed, yeah. Yeah, sadly, that was actual speed.
Little tiny steps, Timmy. We got to lengthen that stride a little bit.
You are hard on my boy Tim Kirchin. 2-2.
Sure, if you like.
Yeah, if you like.
Hey, I'm wearing a 7.5 shoe. What do you expect to have? You expect a long gait? And I'm 56 years old. Tell me any 56-year-old guy that can run better than that. A lot of them.
I do know one thing. Cal Ripken Jr. told me that our man can play some hoops.
Because he's got big hands.
1-2-3. Gonzalez strikes out the side.
If I were to offer
Last half of the fourth inning coming up. Rick Sutcliffe, Aaron Boone, Dave O'Brien, Tim Kirchin. Very athletic Tim Kirchin, showing off his vast array of athletic skills. And real happy to have with us Bob Boone, the Washington assistant general manager and the very famous father of a whole family of Major League talent, including a pretty darn good broadcaster. Bob, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Having a little fun today.
We are. We're all having a good time. At the end of spring training like this, you've been in so many of them, are you just dying to get on that flight and get out of here?
Yes. I'm surprised guys aren't swinging a little earlier.
Yeah, that was our prediction, too.
Well, especially since it started early with the World Baseball Classic, it's like for the last week it's been, hey, let's get going for real.
Yeah, it's been forever. 38 games for clubs this year.
Hey, Bob, you work with him every day. Can you just explain to us the terrific job that Mike Rizzo has done putting this team together?
Oh, it's been fantastic. It's something that really started with a plan. Stan Kasten, who was the president here in 2005, with the idea of doing it through the draft. We were fortunate enough to play really, really bad and get some great first rounders. And we did a good job in getting the scouting department did a great job in getting some secondary guys that went a little later in the draft that we signed, and all of a sudden it's come together. But if you pick out some Strasburgs every draft, you're going to be pretty good. But we were very fortunate.
Dad, can I call you Bob?
Whatever you want, sir, son. I can't believe you made me follow Harper. That's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, that's right.
It is tough. Dad, you've been here a long time developing this talent. How rewarding for you has it been to see all this talent come to fruition at the major league level?
Well, it's really exciting, not only the major league level, but the minor league level. When I came over or was invited to come in 2005, and Montreal came to D.C., the minor leagues was in a shambles. I mean, there was very little talent. It took us probably 4 years before we got one of our players that had the ability to play at AAA, and we were signing minor league free agents every single year, loading up really AA and AAA just so that we could compete. And now it's our guys throughout the system, and once you get that, then you start adding the pieces. And that's the thing that Mike's done a tremendous job, is we got to that point where, okay, now we're good, now we're competitive, let's starting adding some pieces. And I think last year was kind of a surprise. We did not expect going into that year to win 98 games. And now, of course, the target's on us now. And there's expectations, but it's pretty exciting, and it's much more fun to play when you have big expectations.
Sure, it comes with winning 98 games. You guys have earned those expectations and that bullseye. Bob, what kind of kid growing up was the guy in the middle here, Aaron Boone? Was he a good student? Did he follow direction?
Yeah, actually, Aaron, of the three, Matthew and Brett, were completely different from Aaron. Aaron was a little more studious, and when he went to school, and he was like Mr. Nice Guy. He had everybody he met was his friend. So
nice guy.
Yeah, he was.
We've not seen that side yet, Bob.
Well, you're asking me to compare him to his brothers. And I must admit, he got it from his mother.
I mean, Bob, as we know, you were a 4-time All-Star, all the Gold Gloves. We know that your dad, Ray, was a multiple All-Star, led the league one year in RBIs. Brett, of course, hit 300, drove in 100. I mean, you and Sue have to be quite a bit disappointed in Aaron, though.
Well, as I've told Aaron, I said, he's going to have a broadcast career that's much better than his baseball career.
I mean, he took one swing off of Wakefield. I mean,
that was it.
You guys are Bob Euchre and me. Back it down.
Bob, what are Thanksgivings like around the Boone holiday table? Those must be some fascinating discussions. Do you guys talk baseball all the time?
Is there another subject?
I don't think there is.
Well, we get into politics a little bit. At least Aaron and I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, when my dad was around, that's all that happened was baseball. And then Brett, of course, my dad would start telling how good the players were when he played, and Brett would start arguing about how much better the players were now. And so that would start off Thanksgiving dinner, and it never ended.
It's all very true. Baseball is the topic in our house. Dad, I got a question about the catching duo, Wilson Ramos, Kurt Suzuki.
Right.
How do you see that playing out? And tell us a little bit about each guy.
You're looking for inside now?
Yes.
Well, they're different players. Suzuki's a terrific catcher, blocks the ball extremely well, handles the pitching staff extremely well. Came over here last year and really hit for us. And line drive, a lot of clutch base hits for us. Of course, Wilson is a star in the making and has tremendous potential. Blew out his ligaments in his knee last year in his rehab diligently. Our reports when he came to spring training was that he probably wouldn't even be able to play for 6 weeks, and he's been in there. He's done great, and it's really starting to swing the bat. I think Davey's going to have a pleasant problem with both of them, but I think they're both going to play a lot and probably split time starting out and just see what happens.
A fumble there by Quintanilla at shortstop, and he commits the error on a ground ball by Lombardozzi. Well, Bob, I can't thank you enough for joining us today, and it's got to be a terribly exciting time. You've been on teams before, breaking spring training, where everyone said, look out for those guys, and that's the Washington Nationals now.
Well, we think it is, but and I think the players having the perspective is that that's on paper, and we all know what we're capable of doing, or what this team's capable of doing, and now it's time to go out and do it. Not a lot of times a little harder to go out and do it, and everybody's shooting for you.
Yeah,
we're not sneaking up on anybody. And I want to tell you, Dan, that I hope you've got a hard hat, because I know these guys can rip into the play-by-play guy pretty hard this year, so you better get some backup.
I'm going to come in well protected, and Suddy's 6'7", so he'll back me up if your boy gets out of line. But your boy's a complete gentleman
if he gets out of line.
Usually they double team you.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's where I'm at a huge disadvantage. Bob, thanks so much.
Okay,
great having
pleasure.
you with us.
Okay.
And
Thanks,
good
Bob.
luck this season.
Okay. Thanks, son. Bye-bye.
That's got to be the only time you get away with that. Huh?
That's right.
Tyler Moore up with runners at first and second, and Washington looking for some more here in the bottom of the fourth inning. The runners go. The off-speed pitch misses, and they both steal. So a double steal. They're pulling out a little of everything here.
That's something they're very capable of, is it not?
Well, it is, and really Feliciano should have recognized that. Both runners were very jumpy there, and he didn't bother to step off. He just allowed them to kind of continue on, and not even a thought by Recker, because there was no play at either base.
Pedro Feliciano, the left-hander who's come in for the Mets, and a swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch. Tyler Moore, the batter. Feliciano last season, across the board, just 10 appearances, a .289 ERA. There's two men in scoring position. Chad Tracy on deck as that one is lifted into right center. And Baxter there to make the catch and retire the side. So we have wrapped up 4 on a sunlit day in Vieira. 4-0 Washington. Welcome back to Major League Baseball Spring Training on ESPN, presented by Head and Shoulders. And out of the 5th inning, where your score is 4-0 Washington. Rick Sutcliffe, Aaron Boone, Tim Kirchin, Dave O'Brien with you. Your Monday Night Baseball crew. Greg Stammen coming on out of the bullpen now for the Nats.
Well, he did that a lot last year. As you take a look at the numbers, 59 appearances, a terrific ERA. Probably out there for maybe 2 innings this afternoon.
Hard ground ball. Great diving play by Tracy from the knee. And got him at first base. He cuts down Recca with a magnificent diving play behind the bag.
Wow.
Certainly the Webb gem of the day in the majors.
Wow, not a good play. A great play from Chad Tracy. This ball is smoked down the third base line and kind of takes a bad hop. He stays with it, goes to a knee, and not an in-between hop that he throws across the diamond, but a long hop, making it easy for Moore, the first baseman, to handle. As good a play as you'll see from Chad Tracy.
He's skipping that on purpose, isn't he?
Absolutely. And to do it on a long hop, you get extra bounce on it. It makes it easy on the first base.
A wow from Aaron Boone.
Yeah, wow.
Already, huh?
Omar Quintanilla here, 0 for 1 with a grounder to second.
Chad Tracy's more of an offensive guy, I thought. I've not seen that kind of range out of him for a while.
And he's a real favorite of Davey Johnson's. Likes to use him in situations where he needs a clutch hit.
From that left side, and of course we just saw Tyler Moore had the big pinch hit in Game 1 back at St. Louis in that 3-2 victory in the Division Series. From the right side.
Down to the dirt and right through everybody to the backstop. Now Bryce Harper getting a couple of at-bats today and looking good. Although he told Tim Kirchin, I have no idea where my swing is right now.
And I think that's the way he likes it. That means he's hitting the ball hard. There's not a lot of thoughts going on, and he's just letting his great talent flow.
Little dribbler up by first base. And a pitcher with the stab, and Stammen makes the play for the out. So 2 gone. Well, Roy Halladay was finishing up spring training today. Grapefruit League play against Toronto, his former team. And the ace went 4 1/3. He had a rough outing. Of course, he's coming back from that stomach ailment. He allowed 8 hits, although he did strike out 6. So what do you see here?
Everything's up. I mean, the breaking ball, the outer half of the plate was up. That fastball in there was elevated. He's a guy that when he is at 100%, the ball very seldom gets into the air. So there's still some work to be done.
He's lost 10 pounds because of that ailment. And a guy who usually cannot afford to give 10 pounds away with his physique. Here's Valdespin.
Yeah, that's 10 pounds that he has worked to put there, and it's just going to take some time.
Valdespin 241, 94 games last year with 8 home runs.
Maybe we could call Crucky and get Roy those 10 pounds back real quick, you think?
Base is empty and 2 men out as we play the 5th inning on a beautiful day.
Aaron, we remember this guy, don't we?
Yep.
First big league hit. Pinch hit off of Papelbon in Philly.
Sharp grounder, but right there to Moore. And a good inning for Stammen coming on in relief of Gio Gonzalez, who only allowed 1 hit while he was in the ball game.
Alex Cora, more of the Nationals and Mets in just a second. But in terms of fantasy baseball right now at third base, you know, David Wright would be the guy you'd want ahead of Ryan Zimmerman, Alex. But would you want him 3 rounds ahead of him in terms of these two guys?
Well, to be honest, with the lineup that the Nationals are featuring with Span, Worth, and Harper ahead of Zimmerman, I'll wait for Zimmerman. I think he's going to drive in some runs. The power numbers are going to be there, so I'll take him.
Both guys right now with $100 million contracts, so lots of expectations for both. For now, send you back to Dave O'Brien and crew. Guys?
And then thank you very much. Washington in command here, 4-0 on a day where Gio Gonzalez was a little bit shaky early on. He walked a couple of men in the first 2 innings, but then really settled down and retired the last 12 men in succession. So he actually looked very sharp in closing out his performance. Josh Edgen here, 34 appearances last season, the left-hander, with a first batter up of Chad Tracy here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. We talked about Gio Gonzalez. He is standing by right now at Tim Kirchin. Tim?
Gio, is this a new haircut you got to tell us about?
You overheard me? No, I got mine yesterday night. I was like, I need to get my hair cut. You should have seen it. I had to part my hair to the side. I was looking pretty bad, but finally got a fresh haircut, ready to go today. And looking forward to flying out to D.C. tonight.
Right, this is your last start before your first regular season start. How did it go?
I felt great, you know, working with Zuki and especially with the guys out there having some fun. I think that it was just us getting ready to go, you know, just pound the strike zone, try to get out there in and out, get the guys back in here as soon as possible. But, you know, again, it's spring training. We're all looking forward to getting on our planes and getting out of here.
Right, specifically, pitch sequences, what else were you trying to accomplish today to get ready for next week?
Well, it was absolutely working first pitch strikes. You know, I wanted to pound the strike zone, try to get the first out of every inning. You know, just attacking the strike zone. As soon as I walked one of the guys, I was trying to lock it in and try to get back at it and try to do some stuff. But, man, it just seems like the third base spot is just making some highlights. Everyone's just doing third base is where you got to be right now.
You pitched in the WBC this spring. How was that?
It was great. I mean, my partner in crime, Ross Detweiler, keeps pounding me with gum and sunflower seeds over here. But, you know, it was fun, you know, having a teammate and someone to talk to. But the experience was unbelievable. It's almost like how they said you gotta be there to understand what that feeling is.
Gio, what's it like now to be heading north with a team that is, frankly, as talented as this one?
The thing is with us, we're just trying to stay healthy. You know, I think that we have a great team and a great group of guys that are working together. We've been around each other for a year now, and you know, hopefully it just continues to be like that. You know, I think it's going to be exciting this year. Hopefully we just stay healthy.
Speaking of Detweiler, I'm not sure everyone really truly knows who he is. How good is his stuff?
Well, they're going to know who he is this year. He's definitely one of those left-handed pitchers that made a statement last year in the postseason, and he was doing it all year. You know, just as soon as you get him some runs, you're going to see that he's going to be pretty nasty this year.
What have you seen from Bryce Harper, especially lately in the spring? Everything he hits right on the button.
You know what? Just let's stay hot. That's all it is. With Bryce, you just got to stay hot. And I think he's seeing the ball like the size of a watermelon. That's great, man. I think that he takes that momentum now to the season. And just hopefully he stays like that and keeps it on a roll.
Gio, thanks so much and good luck this year. We'll see you soon.
Tim and Gio, thank you very much. Gonzalez, a native of the Miami area. And, of course, the Miami Hurricanes are one of the great stories in the NCAA tournament. Carlos Rivero batting with the bases empty here for Washington. Gonzalez, the number 2 starter behind Steven Strasburg for the Washington Nationals, who are the favorites to repeat as NL East Division champs.
You know, Detweiler is kind of the guy that gets forgotten. Your dad was talking about the draft, Aaron, and Zimmerman, of course, back in 05 and Strasburg in 09 and Harper in 10. Detweiler was the number 1 pick back in 07, and I totally agree with what Gio said. It wouldn't be a shock if he led the Washington Nationals in wins when it's over with. Strasburg's going to be up against everybody's number 1. You go to Philadelphia and you get their number 2. It's probably going to be Cliff Lee. You get down to that 4th and 5th spot, you get some more runs to work with, and wins are easier to come by.
Detweiler 10-8 last year, and they've added Dan Herron as well, who went 12-13 and 30 starts for the Angels. In there for a called strike.
You know, guys, we showed the lineup of their rotation, and Rick, if Dan Herron returns to form this year and is healthy, you know, as a hitter, you look ahead to the series ahead, and you know who you're facing. Yeah. And for most teams, you kind of hope you get maybe their 4 or 5. With this team, if Aaron's healthy, there is no break.
Tell you what, he walked by us today when we were down there in their clubhouse, and I just real quick, I said, "How are you?" He said, "Good." And that's all you need to know. And if he's healthy, that you're looking at, for a lot of people, what would be their number one.
And guys who give you different looks and different problems in the batter's box. Going to have everybody off balance. They have hard throwers. They get control guys in there for called strike 3. Rivero goes down, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Edge and the left-hander. Through 5, 4-0, the Nationals. This telecast of Major League Baseball spring training on ESPN is brought to you by AT&T, Rethink Possible, and the Volkswagen Springtoberfest event. Visit VWDealer.com. Great to have you with us here in Vieira. 4-0. Nationals in command as we go to the 6th inning. Stammen will stay on and continue to pitch. Workhorse out of that bullpen for the Nationals. And Josh Rodriguez in the box. One of those who made the trip here to Vieira. And Daniel Murphy will get at least one more at bat, maybe more than that. He's on deck for the Mets, who went 74 and 88 last year. David Wright is not here. He's making his way back from an intercostal injury. Wright certainly under no illusions when he signed with the Mets, basically a Met for life contract, 8 years, $138 million, that the Mets would be able to compete right away. He's certainly the cornerstone of their organization. And David now 30. Does he wonder when those days are going to come for the Mets? Well, that's a swinging strike.
I think one thing we've seen, guys, over the last several years is it can happen rather quickly. If you get a couple of pitchers, a couple of impact prospects get to the big leagues, and they have some pieces now. Harvey, we're going to see Wheeler come.
Bounding ball to short.
Yeah, they were talking about it before the game with Zach Wheeler, Montero, Mazzoni. The cavalry's on the way as far as pitching is concerned.
Matt Holliday has been held out of the lineup. He did miss Tuesday. Played yesterday and today, and the St. Louis Cardinals in a spring training game today against the Marlins, getting him into the lineup and a base hit up the middle there. It was more precautionary because of a side issue they have to feel better about that swing.
Well, guys, with all the injury issues that the Cardinals have faced this spring training, Rick, we had the game the other day when they did scratch Holiday. To see him back in the lineup now with seemingly no ill effects, very good sign for the Cardinals heading into the season.
And they need some good signs because, as Mike Matheny was telling us, they lost a lot. They lost a lot of leadership in that clubhouse with Chris Carpenter. Kyle Loesch was one of those guys. Rafael Furcal. Even Skip Schumacher. I mean, he was kind of the vocal type guy for that team. So there's some guys that have got to step up. Of course, Wainwright, you don't worry about him. But there's got to be some voices and some other things happen for them to get back to the postseason.
Daniel Murphy, the hitter, has the only Met hit today, a broken bat single in the first inning against Gio Gonzalez, the only hit that Gio allowed in 4 innings. And there's a cut and a miss for strike 3. So 2 down. Well, do you play baseball or softball? Tell us what you play. Uploading a video to social media with the hashtag #IPLAY, and your video may be featured on MLBFanCave.com.
Are you into that softball thing yet? I'm sure you've been asked.
I played in a game this offseason, celebrity softball game. It was a lot of fun down in Baton Rouge, but no, I have not done a lot of softball playing, Rick.
I'm glad to hear that personally.
Yeah.
That you haven't taken that trip to the dark side in that regard.
Wait a minute. I was a captain of the celebrity softball team in Kansas City at the All-Star game.
You were.
Rick, dominated George Brett's team, by the way.
Rick kind of has that softball look to him, you know.
I'm not exactly sure what that means. Well, actually, I do know what that means.
I can't argue.
When I think of beer league softball, I think Sut's picture comes to mind.
It's the only way to play softball. Are you kidding me?
Lucas Duda 0 for 2 with a couple of flies to center. He chased that one to even a count of 2-2.
How impressive is this right now with Craig Stammen out there? First of all, the last at bat. You got a quality big league hitter in Murphy. He punches him out. Now 2 strikes on what's supposed to be one of the power sources for the Mets.
And he got him. He put him away quickly. 2 strikeouts there for Stammen back-to-back. The last 15 Mets have been retired. Well, that would make any pitching coach happy. We're going to talk with Steve McCatty in just a moment. The pitching coach of this Washington National staff, which many believe is the very best in baseball. Across the board, look at that rotation. Strasburg, Gonzalez, Jordan Zimmerman, Dan Herron's been added to it. We've talked a lot about Detweiler, as a lot of people have in spring training, as a guy who would pitch in a lot of rotations right up front, somewhere as maybe a 2 or a 3 guy. And one of the gentlemen who gets a chance to watch that rotation and keep a very close eye on them is Steve McCatty. That has to be the catbird seat right there. You get a chance to watch Steven Strasburg every 5 days. Gonzalez, a 21-game winner, right behind him. Let's bring in Steve right now. Steve, first of all, you've got to be dying to get going. Gonzalez looked awfully good today, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He was a little tired when he was gone to the WBC. He didn't get to a regular rotation or get his pitches up enough. So normally you go through a little dead arm. Before the game, he said the ball felt like a 500-pound cannonball in his hand. So, but Gio, if he doesn't have something to talk about, it's not Gio.
Cat, you called it early. Sut here. You were talking about him with that front leg flying open. The first couple of innings, it seemed like that fastball away was getting away from him, but he was able to fix it.
Right. We talk about that all the time with Gio. The one thing that he's got that quick motor. He always wants to go. So we got to tell him, the old style we used to go with, Rick, where you turn your back and show him your numbers. Yeah. As long as you hold that side there, you're all right. But if you come off it real quick, you start swinging, you're going to lose the ball to your glove side, and that's what he has a tendency to do when he struggles. But he corrects it pretty good, and he's fun to watch.
Steve, we didn't see a lot of breaking balls from Gio today. Is that by design, being that you're facing a division rival a week before spring training ends?
No, I don't care. They know he's got it. He throws it. They're not hitting it anyways. But in the bullpen, Gio said, I'm not throwing it. It's not breaking, so I'm not throwing it. I said, oh, okay, whatever you need to do to get through it. And that's a tendency when he gets down there early, he'll run away from it a little bit just because he flies over and it doesn't feel good to him. And I have no problem with that at this period. Being a little tired, I'm not going to force him into throwing breaking balls and trying to get into a bad habit of slinging the arm in there. So, that's no problem with him.
Cat, the one guy not many people have heard about. I never got a chance to see him in person until the World Baseball Classic, but your number 5 starter, Ross Detweiler, he's got a chance to have a great year, does he not?
Oh, absolutely. He's got quality stuff. He's 6'5", 6'6", throws a little bit across his body, much better than in the past. But he can, with him, it's interesting. He's really kind of, when I say stubborn in a good way, he can throw four-seamers inside 95 to 96. And if he wants to, then he can go 92 and sink it down and away. And he's got great movement, no fear. He's using his off-speed pitches real well now, using his changeup more and his curveball more. And he's got great stuff.
Well, Steve, what's the feeling like to be sitting on this pitching staff and knowing everybody in the majors is looking at you guys with very deep envy with all the talent that you have?
Well, you read all these things and see all that, and I know the guys, but like I always tell them, say, boys, you can read this stuff and hear about how good you are, but we don't play this game on paper. You got to go out there and produce. And that's what they do. They all come to compete. It's great for me, and it makes you a lot better coach when you have real good guys. So it's nice. They go out there, and with the pitchers are going to be increased for everybody. And if they're going to give you 7 innings and you get to that bullpen with the bullpen we got, we feel fairly comfortable.
Cat, I competed against you a lot, as we both know. You were an absolute workhorse back with Billy Martin there in Oakland. Your thoughts on pitch counts this day and age?
Well, it kind of changed with us. We were throwing, 140 pitches a game. That's what I think I averaged. And I pitched a 14-inning game with 203 pitches or 7 or something like that. But, with the way the bullpens have evolved, and you have such guys with great stuff that'll give you that 1 inning or 2 innings possibly, that right now, the pitch count, when a guy's going to start getting a little tired when he's at 110 or so, third or fourth time guys coming through the lineup. So, if you have those guys down there and you have the ability to throw somebody in there that's throwing, it seems like everybody's throwing 96 miles an hour now with an unbelievable breaking ball. Why not do it? And there's a lot of money involved in the game, too. So you got to be careful, these guys, and you have the quality guys to pick you up in those spots. So when we played, everybody that was in the bullpen was a guy that couldn't start. So it was kind of a drop-off until you got to the closer. But these guys out there for an inning or two, they give you great stuff. So it's just the way the game's evolved. And, I don't think it's really a bad thing. I like guys that can, go up to 120 pitches. Thanks, Slappy.
Steve, speaking of the bullpen, you've added Rafael Soriano. But one thing you guys had as a team last year was a couple of quality left-handers down in that bullpen you could rely on. This year, a little more right-handed dominant. Is there a concern there?
Well, not really. You'd always like to have that left-hander down there in the 8th or 9th inning or 7th inning with that wipeout breaking ball. But, we have guys down there, Ryan Matthews, who has a tremendous sinker and split. We have other guys. Henry can come in. You're throwing the ball over. He's got unbelievable off-speed stuff. So they can get left-handers out. And the velocity, too, for facing the guy once. I'm not really concerned by that because, Clippard gets out left-handers probably as well as he gets out right-handers, maybe even better. And, you'd like to have that there, but, right now we don't. And I feel really comfortable with what we have. These guys are all very talented, and I have no fear at all.
Steve, can't thank you enough. Thanks so much for being with us, and have a great year. We somehow believe you will.
Thanks, Cat.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Steve McCatty, pitching coach of the Washington Nationals. That's a pretty good seat. And he's done a really fine job with them. 4-0 Washington in the lead here. Jerry's Familia doing the pitching here for the Mets with the bases empty. Home runs today by Adam LaRoche and Danny Espinosa early. I'm talking about that bullpen. I don't seem too worried about the fact that they might be a little lefty deficient. Only Zach Duke there.
Yeah, and it was such a weapon, Rick, for him last year, having Burnett, guys like that down there that could really match up. But like he said, power arms and Matthews, Rodriguez, Clippard. Yes. So I'm sure he does feel good about it. And, Steve McCatty deserves a lot of credit for as talented as this pitching staff is to have guys like Strasburg, Jordan Zimmerman, Detweiler come up yeah, it's one thing to have great talent, but it's another thing to make a seamless transition to the big leagues and have the success they have, and I think part of that is a tribute to Steve McCatty.
No question about that. I mean, it's not only the job that he does here at the big league level, but the system that he has in place throughout.
Lutz makes the catch, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. Still a 4-0 national lead here in Vieira, Florida.
Dan Burke alongside Alex Cora. We'll get back to the Nationals and Mets in just a second. But in terms of first baseman in fantasy baseball, who would you rather have, Ike Davis or Adam LaRoche?
I like Ike Davis. He's a much better hitter than 227. His power numbers are going to be there, and he's going to get his RBIs.
Would you still take Davis 5 rounds higher, almost 60 picks ahead of LaRoche?
That's a good question. LaRoche, his production, he's been there the last few years. That's a good pick, too.
All right, so you like Davis and LaRoche. We'll see. Both these guys can make a huge impact this year. Dave, back to you.
Thank you, Matt. A massive home run in this game. We are on to the 7th inning. Neil Holland, the right-hander, now on the bump for the Nationals. And facing Mike Baxter, who's the right fielder for the New York Mets, who only have 1 hit. And that was a busted bat single off of Gio Gonzalez, who went 4 innings, did not surrender a run, and walked 2 last season. A minor leaguer appearing in 39 games, pitched very well, a 1.64 ERA.
Well, and those numbers from a year ago look exactly like the numbers did back in 2010 when he was drafted.
Fans getting in their last spring training raise. On a ground ball to the right side. And a quick out. 1 man gone. Well, Philadelphia Phillies getting the bats going today. Grapefruit League play against Toronto. That's Chase Utley. Able to lay in one to deep right field. See that wind gusting out toward right. There's a line drive cutting through that wind. And Utley cracks a home run.
Well, Rick, it's really good for Phillies fans to see Chase Utley kind of breezing through spring training. That swing looking very much like the Chase Utley that's been such a good player in this league, and obviously another guy that, you know, the Phillies are going to need to be really productive to hang around in this Eastern Division.
I think you agree. I think it's the #1 thing that they need going into this season to have any chance at all to compete. There's just so many ways that he affects a baseball game. His voice, his leadership. He drives in 100. He can score 100. But it's just that presence, the at-bat, it's how he works the count, the example that he sets for the rest of that club.
The 2-1 missing down low on Lutz. The last 14 batters in this game have been retired. which is exactly what getaway day should be.
Your dad called that. I think everybody heard him when he said that.
Inside for ball 4, and that ends that string. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years. Watch every out-of-market game live, plus watch select spring training games online. Visit MLB.TV for details. And that'll send up Neuenhuis, who has walked and struck out. Left-hand hitter who's been in the hunt for one of the outfield spots, but he has not had a very good spring. Runner at first and one man out. Hit toward the hole. Everyone's safe, and that'll put runners at first and second.
You know what, Aaron, even though you see Neuenhuis getting a base hit there, Dave, you talked about him struggling this spring. That's not what you look for right there. I mean, off of, a guy that's just out of A ball, a right-hander from the submarine position. Neuenhuis is a guy that can drive the ball, hit it with authority, and they're still hoping. They've not given up on him yet, but I think right now they feel like he needs more minor league time.
Well, they'll give him a base hit there. He was 2 for 30 before that at bat. Here's Anthony Recker, the catcher, taking a breaking ball for a strike.
I know one thing, they're going to need some defense in center field at that ballpark in New York. Neuenhuis is one of the few guys that can cover some ground. But
Recker has struck out. He's also grounded out to third base. He'll back up Buck, and that one skips away. Toward the dugout of the Nationals, a wild pitch that'll advance the runners. Lutz into third, and Neuenhuis into second.
Well, all of a sudden now with the A team out of there, the defense here has gotten a little bit sloppy here in this inning. That ball just skipping away, and getting back to Neuenhuis, early in camp he slid into second base and had a pretty bad bone bruise that kind of was a setback for him and cost him some momentum. But there is great opportunity right now, Rick, if you're an outfielder in the Mets system. You got to take advantage of it. This is your time to shine and make a name for yourself and establish yourself a little, because there is going to be those opportunities. Neuenhuis, one of those guys that needs to take advantage.
I totally agree. There's a couple of opportunities in that starting rotation for somebody to step up.
Pop foul back out of play. Well, the Mets have averaged just 75 wins the last 4 seasons. And they seem resigned to opening the season with Johan Santana on the disabled list. Sean Markham is hurt as well. David Wright has been battling that intercostal issue that he suffered during the World Baseball Classic. So expectations are very, very low.
I think we all knew that, Dave, as soon as they let Jose Reyes walk. You're not going to bring him back.
Socked to dead away center field. Bernardina has room, though. And there to make the catch. Runner tagging at third. Here comes Lutz in to score. And the Mets are on the board. That makes it 4-1 Washington. Recker does his job and drives in a run.
Well, as a right-handed hitter here against a sidearm pitcher, the discipline factor with that runner out on third base is to lay off that pitch in. You want to get something out over the plate, Rick, that you can elevate into the air. Give Lutz credit there. Got one out over the plate and was able to drive it to the outfield. Recker. Those are those kind of at-bats. As a backup catcher there, Terry Collins is watching that. It's a disciplined at-bat to stay through the middle of the field and get something you can elevate off a guy that's tough to get a ball in the air to. Good at-bat by the backup catcher.
Sends up Quintanilla, who's gone 0 for 2. He's hit the ball on the ground twice. He has a runner at third with 2 away. And takes ball 1.
Guys, the biggest problem I see for the Mets is I feel like that with their starting pitching, with Harvey and Neese and G, they can get into the 5th, 6th inning with a 2-1, 2-2 type of ball game. But then it's just going to get away from them. If the pitch count, the opposing team's going to say, hey, as soon as we get this starter out here, they don't have anything coming in. I mean, that's what's going to happen a lot to this ball club because they've not filled in those holes. And that's what's hard for me to believe with as they call it, a big market team. But the money's not there to go out and find a 7th and 8th inning guy.
In for a called strike, 2-1. The one thing they did do successfully last year, they finally got this out of the way. The first no-hitter in franchise history, over 8,000 games. And the New York Mets finally got one. Johan Santana.
Some pretty good pitchers along the way.
And some no-hitter type pitchers. Seaver, Ryan, Doc Gooden.
David Cone.
Yeah.
Ron Darling.
Sid Fernandez.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of them.
It never had one. 8,019 regular season games. And finally, on June 1st of last year, Johan Santana got it done. There's a great play in the outfield. It occurred in the 7th inning to preserve it, and Santana, what he throw something like 134 pitches, but he did it. And that leaves the San Diego Padres as the only franchise in the majors never to have a no-hitter thrown for them.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing about that, we saw Baxter make the great play. He missed a couple months after that point, and Johan, who was off to a pretty good start, kind of a resurgent start, just hasn't been the same since. And
he's not won a game since the month of June.
Cut on and miss for strike 3, and that retires the side. The Mets do get on the board, however, for the first time today. The fans will stretch here in Vieira. It is 4-1 Washington. Welcome back to Major League Baseball Spring Training on ESPN, presented by Head and Shoulders. And it's out of the last half of the 7th inning here in Vieira, the spring training home of the Washington Nationals, originally built by the Florida Marlins back in the early 90s. Then everything was covered in teal, which is Aaron Boone's favorite color. 4 runs on 5 hits for the Nationals, including 2 home runs. And for the Mets, 1 run on 2 hits. Rob Carson, the big lefty, will toe the slab here for the Mets. And Josh Johnson in the box now for Washington. The Nats have made a lot of changes here on what is for them their last day in Vieira. They are packing up the trucks, packing up the plane, and they are headed for Washington. And a game against the Yankees before they start their regular season in D.C. against the Marlins on Monday in defense of the National League East Division crown. Many predicting they will win more than 100 games.
You know, as you guys know, the team in the majors that has led the last 3 years in wins has come from the National League East. Phillies in 2010 and 11. Last year, the Nationals. very likely could happen again.
It'll be a fascinating division. Of course, the Braves have all that pitch. Great bullpen. Philadelphia with that front three in the rotation. I don't think anybody's predicting the Mets are going to finish anywhere other than last at this point.
Tell you what, I love the defense that the Atlanta Braves has as well. That shortstop Simmons, there's none better.
Big swing and a miss there by Johnson. He goes down hacking. So looking inside the NL East, the Nationals, the team to beat. Strasburg and Harper for a full season. For the Braves, they have the Upton brothers now, BJ and Justin. Phillies with a triple threat in that rotation. The Mets with the kids of Queens. And the Florida Marlins. Well, what do the Marlins have left?
Glorious leftovers. Oh.
Standings from last year. 98 victories for Washington. Atlanta won 94 and finished only 4 games back.
Well, and I think there's a lot of buzz around the Atlanta Braves, and rightfully so. Rick, you mentioned it. That Andrelton Simmons at shortstop looks like a star right now on both sides of the ball. And with the additions they've made, they've got a real opportunity. The one question I have with the Braves is their offense geared to be a little hot and cold? Are they going to have weeks where they go through spells where they strike out a lot, where they struggle collectively? That's my one concern, I think, with the Braves. But there is a lot of upside and a lot to like there.
Aaron, I think a lot of that has to do with Brian McCann.
Yep.
I mean, is he healthy? Is everything back in place?
He's caught a lot of innings.
He has. And you just wonder if that's the issue that happened last year. But, you know, that guy was an all-star for 6 straight years until a year ago. And just not close to the same player.
Yeah, you really hope that when he comes back, whether it be late April, May, that he's back to being Brian McCann, because he certainly impacts the game on both sides of the ball in a big way.
2-2 off the outside on Bernardina. I want to bring in Tim Kirkjian on this as well. And Tim, what are you hearing about McCann and how effective he could be? As we mentioned, there's a lot of workload on him the last several, as good as he's been.
Right. I talked to him just a little bit more than a week ago, and the thinking is he's going to be back in the middle of April. He's swinging the bat fine at this point. The throwing is the issue, and as of a week ago, he had not thrown a ball in anger in a spring training game, which is what, of course, he's going to have to do. When you're dealing with a catcher who has to throw hard to second base and to the bases and throw it back to the pitcher on every single pitch, that shoulder has to be better. And if they can get him back by the middle of April, that would be a huge bonus, because you guys are right. You have seen him. You know how important he is to the middle of that order, but more important, how he runs that pitching staff.
Yeah, he is certainly the man for them as Bernardina dives back in safely. High expectations there in Atlanta. They're not conceding anything to this Washington team. Tyler Moore.
They were just 4 games behind them last year. But, of course, if you don't win the division, that puts you in that one wild card game. And the Cardinals beat them.
Well, it was a crushing loss for Washington, of course, to lose that first-round series to the St. Louis Cardinals, to lose 3-2 when the bullpen collapsed.
The Cardinals knocking out both the Braves and the Nationals.
Well, and to think that Steven Strasburg did not pitch in that series, and to lose a series 3-2, not to have your ace be able to throw, certainly difficult to swallow, but that was the decision they made.
They got blown out in games 2 and 3. They lost 12-4 in game 2. They lost 8-0 in game 3. You just wonder if Strasburg might not have been the difference.
I thought they skated a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we beat it over the head.
Yeah.
All August. Are they going to do it?
Right.
They finally did shut him down in early December or September, and
we thought we had the plan on how they could keep Strasburg under 165 innings and start at least one game in the postseason.
Yep.
But they chose not to do that.
But nobody asked.
Right, and then after the fact, once they lost the series, you really didn't hear that much about it
Not
anymore.
a lot. Yeah.
And you wonder, with Washington really being new to being to the postseason, new to being one of these elite teams, had it been a Philadelphia, Boston, a New York, it would have been all they talked about all offseason.
I agree with you, without a doubt. Strasburg just had a sensational season. To a point, at the end, he did falter a little bit. The ERA jumping up to 3.16. But when he was right, that electrifying stuff.
But I just think it was wrong at so many levels. I think it was wrong, first of all, for him, for not spacing him out, giving an opportunity to get some postseason experience. And I think about the season ticket holders in Washington.
Line into left field. Valespin will not catch that. It drops in for a base hit. So Morazan with a single. Bernardina down to second base in front of the cleanup hitter.
Rick, there would have been a lot of ways, we talked about it ad nauseum, to preserve him. Whether you started his season a little later, whether you skipped him a start here and there would have been ways to preserve those innings and to have him available to you heading into the postseason.
And I thought, too, the key was the fact we were talking about it in mid-May.
Yep. Yes.
Because back in February, I picked them to play in the World Series. In mid-May, they knew they were going to be good. They were going to have an opportunity to play in October. You've got to try to figure out how to have your number one pitcher ready to help.
And I have a lot of respect for what Mike Rizzo has done. All three of us do in this booth. He's done an incredible job with this franchise. He's been a magnificent general manager in many respects. But if they don't win a World Series in Washington, while he's the general manager, he will wear that for the rest of his career. And he said that. He knows that's the case.
But you know what I applaud him for, guys? He stood up.
Yep.
This was his decision. He didn't put it on Davey Johnson or anybody else. This is what we're doing, and it's because of me. It's my ideal. It's the plan that I have for Strasburg's career.
I think all three of us disagree with it strongly, and I think a lot of sports fans do. Just back to what you said, Sutton. What's the purpose of playing the games for? You're trying to win a championship. You're trying to win a ring. You're trying to show everybody you're the best. If you don't have Steven Strasburg for whatever reason, and that may cost you a world championship, then what are you playing the games for? I understand the reasoning behind what he did. I would disagree with it. I think all three of us would. But now, the one thing Mike Rizzo does have is a healthy Steven Strasburg.
And a team right now that, of all the teams we've seen, looks on paper, again, as strong as anyone.
Strasburg 2 starts ago, a line drive off his right wrist. What if it would have been worse than that?
Line shot base hit into left field. Bernardino will be held. Now it's bobbled in left field by Valespin. They're going to send a runner in. That makes it 5-1 Washington. Third error of the day committed by the New York Mets.
Well, Bernardino at second base, who runs very well. This ball is hit so hard by Hal to left field that he wasn't going to have a chance to score from second base, as Trent Jewett, the third base coach, was holding him up right away. You see this ball is scalded in the left field. Valespin charges good. He's in position to make a strong throw, but the ball just kicks off the heel of his glove. And like you said, another error by the Mets this afternoon, and what leads to another run for the Nationals.
And that'll send up Micah Owings hitting out of the 5 spot, where earlier today Adam LaRoche launched a long home run to right field.
This guy can launch a long home run as well.
Lines that one to short, and that will retire the side. The Nationals add another one, and we've wrapped up 7 here in Viera. 5-1. Washington in the lead on a beautiful day. This telecast of Major League Baseball spring training on ESPN is presented by Head & Shoulders for Men. Live flake-free. And in part by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking. Get to a better life. Rick Sutcliffe, Aaron Boone, Tim Kirchin, Dave O'Brien with you. Our Monday Night Baseball crew as we finish up spring training. 2013, the regular season right around the corner. 5-1, the Nationals have the lead as we go to the 8th inning. Valdez Bennett just committed an error in left field. We'll lead things off here as we go to the 8th. A lot of talk about the Nationals and their chance to win a world championship. They have only one World Series in Washington. Back when they were the Senators, it was 1924. Walter Johnson won Game 7 in relief. That was a 12-inning game over the New York Giants. That was one when a ground ball struck a pebble and ricocheted, and that caused the winning run to score. Marty Aronoff
is the only one that would know that.
Our stats magician is the only one who knows that. In there for called strike 3. You realize Tim Kirchin went to Walter Johnson High School?
Where does he have Walter Johnson ranked?
Yeah, Tim,
among the all-time.
Where is Walter Johnson
pitcher
ranked? Or
right-handers.
Are you a little partial because of where you went to school?
Well, I'm very partial, guys, but there's no way around it. He is the greatest pitcher of all time, left-handed or right-handed. If he had played on any good teams other than those teams in the mid-20s, he would have won, instead of 412 games, he would have won 500 games. Keep in mind, he had more 1-0 shutouts in his career than Curt Schilling and Pedro Martinez had shutouts of any kind. That's how good Walter Johnson was. And for 9 years in a row, he had a lower ERA than he had a batting average. He was so much bigger and better than anyone of his time. And I think it's kind of cool that I went to Walter Johnson High School.
Guys, I feel like he's yelling at us right now.
Can I finish this, please?
Yes, you can.
I feel like he's teaching us this class or something.
I worked for the school paper. It was called The Pitch. I did a little bit of work for the yearbook. It was called The Windup. It was really cool.
You had no chance to be anything other than a baseball guy.
That's what I've said many times. I went to the school named after the greatest pitcher of all time. If I hadn't graduated from high school at 4'10", I might have gone on to something.
You're taller than that. I know you are. That's great stuff. You remember the days in Washington when the Senators were there, when they were the Senators, not before they were the Nationals, where the president always came when they were home.
That's right.
And threw out the first pitch.
Sure. Yeah.
Did President Obama do the same? I mean, they're opening up at home as that one is knocked fouled on the left field line. Well, opening day is coming. And oh so close on ESPN. Doubleheader. We'll be on the air 1 o'clock from Yankee Stadium. Red Sox and the Yankees coming your way. Then at 4, the reigning National League MVP, Buster Posey, and the defending champion Giants taking on Matt Kemp and the Dodgers. A great way to get started. Opening day baseball on ESPN, presented by Burger King.
How mmany times will Robinson Cano be walked this year?
Yeah. A guy that's difficult to walk, Rick, we've talked about. But, man.
He's never been selected, no.
No, but it's going to be taken out of his hands a whole bunch, especially the first couple months of the season.
MVP of round 1, round 2, and, of course, the World Baseball Classic finals.
But with all those injuries, Granderson, Teixeira, Jeter, A-Rod, chopper to the right side. Johnson gets it out there on the first and gets the double play. Well turned by the Nationals. That'll be said more than once this season when the regular guys are in there, especially. Middle of the 8th inning, 5-1, the Nats. Opening day baseball on ESPN2 Monday night with a primetime doubleheader at 7. Ryan Howard and the Phillies, they're on the road to face the Braves. And then at 10, Carlos Beltran and the Cardinals squaring off against Ian Kennedy and the Arizona Diamondbacks. That is Monday on ESPN and ESPN2. Getting the season underway. It will be at Yankee Stadium. Rick Sutcliffe, Baron Boone, Dave O'Brien, Tim Kirchin will all be there for the Red Sox and the Yankees at 1 o'clock.
Special time, guys. Opening day.
Can't wait.
Lots of great memories from opening day. I know for me as a player, Rick, and now as a broadcaster, to be a part of it in a small way is...
Every one of them.
Man.
Every one of them's big. It doesn't matter where you're at. It's just the place to be.
Jeff Walters on the hill now for the Mets as we go to the last half of the 8th inning. 5-1 Washington. And Rivero takes a pitch down into the dirt. What's better, as a broadcaster or as a player?
A little bit better as a player.
I'm sorry, yeah. There's nothing that will ever replace that. The nerves that you get, I mean, just the adrenaline, that first pitch, that first at bat, just wanting to get it going.
Shot toward the alley. Neuenhuis will make that catch on the move. One man gone. Well, some more spring training highlights. We take it to Mesa, Arizona. Seattle and the Cubs today. What kind of spring has Michael Morse had? Well, that's his 9th home run of the spring. It always seems to happen in Arizona. Someone hits 9 or 10.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the ball, as you know, Rick, really flies in Arizona. But how about the Seattle Mariners leading all of baseball in home runs in spring training? Now, obviously, they're in Arizona, but so are 14 other teams. But that's a team that's much improved offensively. Mike Morse, part of that improvement.
Obviously, the pitching staff's going to be good with King Felix right there for opening day. But the guy that was just unbelievable in the World Baseball Classic for me, even though Team Canada lost, Michael Saunders was the MVP of that round. The line drive just foul down the left field line. And talking with him, guys, he said it was unbelievable how every day he was able to learn something from his teammates, Joey Votto and Justin Morneau. I really think I mean, he had a decent year last year. He's going to go to a whole nother level this year, which means so could Seattle.
Morris for that team, 9 home runs this spring. He was a very popular player when he played for Washington, too. Back in the years where they struggled. Now, of course, the Nats are a powerhouse coming off 98 wins. Higley fouls that one straight back. Bases empty, 1 man out. 5-1 Washington in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Hey, Rick, guys, I like what I see in Jeff Walters here. Yeah. I like the delivery. His secondary pitches look to be sharp. You were saying?
No, I was going to say Seattle seems, to me, one of those teams that could surprise some people this year and compete. I don't think they can win the West. Well, there's that good secondary pitch. Wipeout slider on the corner there.
I mean, located. He had a real good idea what to do with it. Watching him warm up, he was able to throw that little get-over curve and tighten it up with the slider as he did there.
Sean Nickel will be pinch hitting here for the Nats with 2 down.
And, guys, what I love about this point in the game here, you're facing guys that are going to be playing at your level. It's not like what it was for Tapia in that first couple of innings when he's facing the big boys. It's just, you knew that was going to be a struggle.
Sure, an A-ball kid, even though a guy with talent. Good physique, 6'4", about 190, but only 21 years old.
They figured him out right off the bat. After Harper's at bat, they all had an idea of what to do, and they got it done.
He was facing essentially the A-list lineup for Washington, with the exception of Jason Worth. And that'll be a 1-2-3 inning. So Walters does indeed look sharp. He gets them in order. And we're headed for the 9th inning here on the last day of the spring, at least here in Log on to ESPN.com as we unveil Baseball Tonight's ranking of the top 500 players for 2013. We'll reveal the top 10 tonight at 10. You guys were involved in choosing those top 500.
We were. We had a lot of help because you didn't basically say, well, this is number 1, 2, 3. You put a number by every player. And then, of course, everybody that voted, it's all added up. And so we don't even know. I don't know. I know who I gave the highest rating to.
Sure.
But like Bryce Harper and his statistics for the year, I'm not going to say because I'd make 100 other people mad.
Sure. Rafael Soriano last season with the New York Yankees, an outstanding year, 2.26 ERA. Now the closer for the Washington Nationals.
Just one other area in which they got better.
And they really did improve themselves in a dramatic way. The back end of the bullpen, center field with Denard Span, and obviously the health of Strasburg in a full season out of Bryce Harper, who didn't come up last year until the very end of April. A lot of reasons to be extremely excited about the Nats.
Suzuki was a big trade to add him down the stretch last year, have him for the full year. This year, the experience, the knowledge he can pass along to Ramos.
So the Nationals ready to head for Washington, D.C. after this game tonight. They head north. Up high for a ball here on Ryan Hughes.
How about the job Soriano did when Mariano Rivera went down last year and all the concerns in New York? Soriano just stepped in really like he has his entire career. It was a lights-out closer. And from a stuff standpoint, Rick, he's not as nasty as he once was 4 or 5 years ago with Atlanta, with Seattle, where he was just overpowering with the fastball, the wipeout slider. Still the very good slider, but now a little more seasoned. Not quite the same stuff, but every bit the pitcher.
Popped up, twisting foul, and that'll move out of play.
I mean, that's a perfect example there. He just backed off to throw a strike.
Yep.
88 miles an hour, knowing that he's got a big lead. It's not if it was a one-run decision, no, it would have been more velocity, or he would have thrown that hard slider. But he knows where he's at right now, and as they say, pitches to contact more than he did at one time.
He had a way of getting into trouble and then wriggling out of trouble consistently with the Yankees last season. Mariano Rivera back and healthy as the closer of the Yankees. Swing and a miss, and down he goes. Howell will throw on to complete the strikeout, and Hughes is fanned here in the 9th inning. One man gone. Mike Baxter next. He is 0 for 2 in this one.
Guys, I tell you another guy that the last couple of days being around this Washington team I have really, really enjoyed and obviously learned a lot from is Davey Johnson. Aaron, you've known him a lot longer than I have. You know him better than I do, but I mean, even at 70 years of age, that passion, that enthusiasm, it's still there.
I thought it was
for a ball on Baxter.
I thought it was interesting, and going into this offseason, deciding what his future was going to be. One of his roles, Rick, as you know, is as a consultant for this organization. And his consultation was, you need to bring me back to manage this team again. That's my recommendation, and I think they wisely did. And this is going to be his final year, but what a team he's taken north with him after the ball game today.
And he knows how to win a division.
Yep.
I mean, he's one of only a few managers that's won a division, finished in first place with 4 different teams.
Yeah, he and Billy Martin, the only managers who have done that. Davey's done it with the Mets, of course, won a world title in '86, the Reds, the Orioles, and now the Nationals. Age 70. And he's had a marvelous career. He has the 13th all-time winning percentage. And it's number 1 among active managers. In for a called strike.
Wasn't a bad player at one time, that being Davey Johnson.
Hit 40 home runs one season with Atlanta.
But to hear the stories that you and him have told one another the last couple of days being around him, Rick, it's been a lot of fun for me to sit back and listen and to really see the passion burning in him still, see his love of the game come through. hear him talk the game.
What a competitor.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. And he talked about where a lot of it came from as a rookie being around Frank Robinson.
Yep.
The 3-2 from Soriano. Just a piece of it for Baxter. When you think about it, though, if he did have that big a say in bringing himself back, why wouldn't he want to with a team like this?
Absolutely.
You've got a chance to win a world championship.
I mean, I think at 70 years of age, he probably was honest in saying, guys, let me step back. Let's see how I came out of this thing. And then see if that desire to go do it again is there. And that's a guess.
Soriano walking Baxter here, so he puts a man on with 1 out. 5-1 Washington here in the 9th inning. Davey getting his closer in for some work before they head to Washington, D.C.
Looks like we got an equipment malfunction here.
A little webbing breakdown for Mr. Costanzo.
So he'll head on back to third. And Josh Satin will be the hitter for the Mets. Definitely broken.
Good choice, Mike.
How many gloves did you have at your disposal any given day?
I was a 2.
You could get 100 of them as a player.
Yeah,
you could get all you. Oh yeah.
I was.
But how many were like game ready, right? That you would use?
I was a 2 guy.
2.
I'd use my gamer pretty much most of the time, and occasionally in practice I would work in my backup just in case. And fortunately, in my career, I never really had to go to my backup glove in any particular season. But I was a 1 glove a season guy.
Do you use spring training to break in a new glove?
Yeah. You might. That's where you might have a couple of gloves, and that's where you choose your glove. You'd have a couple going before you got to spring training, a couple that you're playing catch with, and then your gamer just kind of presented itself as the spring unfolded.
Suddy, do you use only 1 all season long as a pitcher?
It didn't matter. I got the biggest one I could get my hands on. I wanted to cover as much area as I could, knowing there'd be some rockets coming back at me. But yeah,
it didn't matter.
The glove was not that big of a thing. There were no gold gloves ever in my future.
Baxter at second base with 1 away, and Soriano gets a ground ball to the right side. And Johnson on to throw him out. Runner down to third. The 2 away here in the 9th. All the way in 2013. Go Nats. Well, that's what they're thinking. World Series or bust. And they're that good.
I got them winning it. I mean, with our job, we're supposed to pick somebody. Tigers are a heavy favorite. I mean, look at that lineup. With adding Victor Martinez, that's where it starts. And then, of course, Torrey Hunter, along with what was already there. Silver bats at first and third.
Aaron, what's your pick?
My pick is the Detroit Tigers over the Cincinnati Reds in the World Series.
Wow.
Dave, you'll learn it's always going to be one of the former teams he played for. Yeah,
he had the
I didn't play for Detroit.
Always, it was 1. I said 1.
Oh, okay.
And again, you yelled at me.
I'm going to have to get used to that.
Yes,
raising
you are.
your voice at Rick like that?
Because when we go to Cincinnati, they're going to go, oh, Aaron, you picked us for the World Series. Oh, come on down for some ribs.
They'll be mad at me, though, that I picked them to lose it.
That's right. You didn't pick them to win.
How dare you?
Neuenhuis 1 for 2 with a base hit. He looks at a strike.
Tell you what, you got me taking a longer look this morning at Toronto, too. And I've never admitted that you were right, but I'm getting real close here on that one.
Well, I picked them to win the East. Not that I feel great about it, but on paper and the way Josh Johnson's looked to me this spring and what I think Jose Reyes is going to mean to that team, I'm going to go with the paper team right now.
There was a paper team down in Miami about this time last year that
you are right.
We all got excited about.
That's right.
Most of those guys are now in Toronto.
That's the beauty of it. Finally, almost upon us.
Cut on and miss for strike 3, and that's a nice way to end it for the Nationals, who knock off the New York Mets this afternoon 5-1 in Vieira, and now they'll say goodbye to their spring training home. They're headed to Washington, D.C. 5-1 the final. For Aaron Boone, Rick Sutcliffe, and Tim Kirchin, I'm Dave O'Brien. Our next baseball telecast will be opening night on Sunday in Houston. Coming up at 4, NFL Live. Adnan and Alex Cora coming your way with more right after the break. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been a beautiful day here in Vieira. The Washington Nationals expected to win the National League East. Knock off the Mets 5-1. We'll see you Monday.